Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving value's contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Yeah.
Yo, so today, my day started off with doing this Blue Cube cold plunge in the morning. Let me tell you, I'm wide awake. I first went in. I got a video, but I'll post it later on. It's embarrassing. Some of it's embarrassing. I'm probably having to post the embarrassing part as well, where I'm shaking.
You have to.
First, I went in with my feet. I said, there's no way. Then I went in for like a few seconds, jumped out. Then I went in for 45 seconds, and the last one was a minute 02, and then when I get home today, I'm going to try to do it for 2 minutes, but it felt unfreaking believable. Shout out to the guys at Blue Cube. I'll post it. You'll see what it is. Unbelievable. I'm on fire.
So I have a question for you. So you're usually awake in the morning. It's like you coming in going sleepy. That's what I'm saying. So what's the difference between this icy PBD?
Just think about like putting an ice pack on your back after a workout. But imagine putting an ice pack on your entire body. You're in the ice for a minute. It felt amazing.
Now, what happened, though, Bat? Because now, and you're drinking ice water, which is like now you're just a completely changed.
He's becoming one with the ice.
Yeah.
We have great topics to discuss. I know you were hardcore into Tucker's recent show he did with the gentleman, Larry Sinclair, who claims he smoked crack and they had gay sex, whatever, years ago. That's what his claim is. Now, obviously, you may do the investigation.
I did some
people have lost their minds, one on that side, on the left, on the right, in the middle. And there's a group of people that could care less about it. But we'll kind of touch it a little bit. We'll touch it a little bit.
No pun intended.
No pun intended at all. But we got some economy stuff to talk about. Spotify. Something crazy happened with Spotify, Tom. Something funny happened with Spotify. Spotify spent $1 billion into podcasts of famous people, Obamas, Kardashians, and what do you call
Bruce
it?
Springsteen, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle.
Prince Harry and Mary, whatever her name is.
They killed it, I want to say. They did awesome.
And they canceled all of it.
My bad.
Okay? They canceled all of it, and you'll find out how much money they lost and what their thoughts are on this.
How many billions did you spend on this podcast?
We didn't spend billions, but this is $1 billion podcast, baby. Saudi Arabia man sentenced to death for tweets. We'll talk about that. The U.S. government, folks, be careful what you're wearing right now. The U.S. government is investing $22 million into developing surveillance clothing that includes shirts, pants, and underwear. They want to see everything, right? Elon Musk's dad said he's worried that Tesla CEO may be assassinated following a report about his influence on government decisions. We'll see about that. And then we got half of the CDC workers. Ready for this? More than half of CDC staff leave to work for Big Pharma, study finds. Anyone surprised?
I'm shocked.
In China, there's a county that offers couples to get married before the age of 25. They want you making babies. That's what they want you to do in China. Small towns in America are disbanding police forces. The immortals, meet the billionaires, forking out for eternal life. Wait till you hear this story. And then a New York Times story. This is not a New York Post story. This is a New York Times story, which we're probably going to get to first. Americans are losing faith in the value of college. Whose fault is that? Then we got a bunch of other stories. What happened with Proud Boys going 22 years. But Liberty Safe. If you own a safe in your house, this is definitely not a sponsorship. Liberty Safe could possibly be the next Bud Light. When you find out what these guys did with FBI, maybe one of the biggest, maybe bigger than Bud Light. It has to be bigger than Bud Light screw up on what you're doing. Your whole idea is about making sure we feel safe. And you're giving that to the FBI? What? And then last night, some story came out with Reuters. We'll cover. Apple stock is down 4%. If you haven't already looked, our guys in the back were not too happy about the fact when I announced this. China is making an announcement to no longer wanting to use the iPhone. They have just imposed an immediate ban on all Apple devices by government officials. I don't know if this is because Tim Cook is taking the business out to India or not, but we'll cover that as well. Congress returns with clock ticking to avert government shutdown, fund U.S. disaster. Then messy drives jump in Apple TV and MLS subscription. Another bad news for cable TV. And we got a few other stories that maybe we'll get into as well. Anyways, But before we do that, we have a friend here with us, the latest talent we signed, comedian, the phenomenal Kayvon. If you haven't seen his stuff, I've watched his stuff over the years. Funny as hell. We started talking, I want to say 2 years ago was the first time we communicated.
2018, I looked it up.
Oh, shit, 5 years ago.
I've been on Pat's case for a while.
5 years ago.
Do this, man.
And I said, dude, what do we got to do about this? And so now he's here with us in South Florida. Kayvon, if you don't mind, take 30 seconds to a minute, just kind of give everybody your background.
Well, absolutely. I have been doing stand-up comedy for the last 12, 15 years. I know Vinny very well. And when he moved out here, I said, man, you beat me to it. I was trying to get here first. Vinny's always first to market with this stuff. But I'm the most famous half-Persian comedian in the world. Luckily, there's only one other one. So as long as I stay here, I'll be okay. And I just love making people laugh. I linked up with Turning Point USA at one point, and we believe in freedom of speech and doing stand-up comedy. And PBD believes in these values as well. So this is just a great partnership. I think it's going to go real far.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you here, Kayvon. Let's get into our first story, okay? Americans are losing faith in the value of college. Whose fault is that, Mr. Ellsworth? Let me read the story. Okay.
Tom's fault.
A decade ago, a survey showed strong support for college, with 86% of college graduates seeing it as a good investment. But today, only about a third of Americans have a lot of confidence in higher education, and just about 41% of young adults view a college degree as very important. That's only 41%. The rising cost of college has played a significant role in the shift, with tuition fees nearly doubling for four-year private college since 1992. Total student debt has surged from $500 billion in 2007 to $1.6 trillion. That's just in 16 years. It's tripled, leading to financial burdens and hindering wealth accumulation for many graduates. And by the way, you can't even file a bankruptcy on your college debt. You have to pay it. You don't have a choice. The decline in faith in higher education is also politically driven, as Republican sentiment has sharply dropped. In 2015, 58% of Republicans believed colleges had a negative impact in the country compared to 37% in 2015. So anyways, we're going to see what's going to happen here. Tom, your thoughts on this story?
Well, there are three angles to the story. One, is college useful? Number two, is it worth the price? And number three, are there other things happening like indoctrination that parents are upset about? The first one, usefulness. 2 studies I found said that last year it dipped under 50% of college graduates got a job related to what they just studied and paid for. So only 50%. So, you have parents that are so shocked at home. Wait a minute, you're telling me European art history? You've been able to find a job in European art history here in the United States? That's the whole point. Liberal arts educations in the esoteric majors are not useful. So only half people are finding jobs in what they just studied. Then they look at the return on investment. I walk out with student loans and I find a job in what I just studied, marketing, business, but they look at the price and how long it's going to take them to pay for it, minus whatever minor academic scholarships or need-based scholarships or whatever they got. There's still a net there. It's like, now I got to pay this off. And then the last one were parents who are footing the bill for the people I just mentioned, if they don't get student loans, are saying, wait a minute, you remember the old thing about the weather, that March comes in like a lamb, goes out like a lion? There's that old joke about the weather. Well, parents are like, my kid goes in like a moderate and comes out like a Marxist. And it's like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And so that's the three things. Is it useful? Is it worth the money and the indoctrination? And people have had it. Students have had it. Parents have had it. And then later on, when a student becomes an adult and they're paying for it, they've had
So
it.
can I challenge you? So for you, even though you're saying that, you're still encouraging your kids to go to college. Why is that?
Okay, let's rewind. Number one, I've saved my pennies. I don't think it's worth it, but my kids are going to come out without significant burdens, so they don't have to get held back as they start their career.
Sure.
But the second is, you and I have had a conversation about this. I will fund STEM, business, or pre-med, pre-law. And there's a whole list of things you can do in life. I'm willing to fund that because I want to be at the top part of the 50% that have a degree that's actually usable. And so, but I'm on the fence. If I was probably 10 years older, I might take a son or daughter and put them in an apprenticeship with me and really think twice on this, because I see where this is going. In 10 years down the road, I don't know if that Tom Ellsworth would make this decision.
I agree with Tom that it's multifaceted, because it's not one size fits all. So on one hand, you're also almost saying like, it's not worth it. The ROI isn't there. But at the same time, you're encouraging your daughters to go, because why? There's a plan for them. The biggest problem that I have with college is most people kids are 18 years old and they're about to make the biggest decision of their life, and they're just not equipped to make that decision.
Yeah.
They don't have the money. College debt is ridiculous. You know how long it takes the average student debt recipient to pay back their loans? 20 years. It takes a long freaking time. So on one hand, if you look at the stats going backwards, times have changed. Internet, technology, drop shipping, social media, everything. Entrepreneurship is now a buzzword. It used to be a new word. High school students, high school graduates would make $1 million over their lifetime if you graduate high school. College degrees would equivocate to $2 million. MBA's $3 million. But the times have changed. It's just not what it used to be. And then here's the last point. I actually think that most kids, unless you're an Ellsworth daughter and you have a game plan and you're not taking on debt and you're not basically driving up the price of everything in the rest of your life, I think that there should be, I don't want to say a mandate, but encouragement for most kids to take a gap year. I think that there is a lack of national pride. I think there's a lack of national servitude. I think there's a lack of community service. And I would encourage most kids, if you do not have a game plan for your life, go take 1 year, go to AmeriCorps, go do an internship, go give back to your country.
I like that.
Learn something.
Whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in tech, whether it's in anything, entrepreneurship, and there's only one thing that you have to do if you're going to do this. Every morning, every employee or every intern, whatever it is, there's only one thing. You have to do the Pledge of Allegiance. That's the only thing. And they will basically pay for you and do whatever you need to do, and then you can take that year to figure out the game plan for the rest of your life.
Kayvon's waving his hand, but you also, in Israel, you're compelled to have 2 years of gap year.
You have to go 2 years of the army. Yeah, you have to.
That's gangster.
So bottom line is this. At 18, you don't need to make the biggest decision for the rest of your life and then just drown yourself in debt. It's okay to start college when you're 19. It's okay to start college when you're 20. You don't have to make this decision when you're 18. And for the parents out there, get the message for your kids.
Well, let me just add one thing. They sued Trump University because people weren't getting what they thought they were going to get out of it. Mm-hmm. No problem. What is the difference when colleges keep hiking up the rates and then they just go, well, Joe Biden will pay that off. We want student debt relief. Why can't we have a class action lawsuit and say, hey, you're providing these degrees, they're not going anywhere, somebody owes it back, and I think it's the institutions and not the taxpayer.
That's actually a very good point as well. For me, I will tell you, for you and I, going in the military was life-changing. I think if a boy that's becoming a man doesn't yet have a set of, direction of what they want to do with their lives, and you're not what do you call it? You're not a person that's maybe got a 4.1 GPA, maybe you got like a 2.2 GPA, military may not be a bad option for you.
Pat, it made me, excuse me, my father, he was there. They were not divorced. He was in the house, but drank and never really wasn't the father that I needed, right? So the military discipline, being on time, cleaning, it makes you, being that experience. I'm not only a patriot, my life, my goal, making my bed, it regiments you to where you're on point, especially somebody that had a father that didn't have, didn't have somebody.
Vinny, I'm sorry to hear about your daddy issues. I know a lot of girls with those issues, but I know that,
I'm going to cry after.
Okay, I know you're going to be okay. But I will say there is a difference between what men and women do for working after college. You have no idea how many girls that I have on my show. I've had this conversation a million times. They go to college, they graduate, and what do? They become bartenders, or they become servers, or they start doing OnlyFans. Some even start stripping, and they're like, why? Why do you do this? Because you make more money. It's like, well, then why did you spend all that money on college? Yeah. And then Tom hit the nail on the head. Unless guys out there specifically are going into STEM. STEM stands for not stem cell. Yeah. STEM, science, tech, engineering, math. That's a male-dominated career path. So men need to make that decision. But it's crazy to me that you go to college, you spend all this money, you take on debt, and then OnlyFans, here we come for the ladies.
Yeah.
We don't have that option.
PBD, but you're sending your kids to college, ideally, no?
So are you saying, I take your message in a couple different ways.
Sure.
One of the ways I take it as in your ideal world, there needs to be a way, a course in college to how to effectively improve your OnlyFans account. Is that kind of what you're
I'm actually leading the course.
That's what I thought you were saying.
That's exactly
Professor Sosnick
I'm Professor Sosnick. Hi, ladies. Strip down. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. No, obviously you're not saying that. With my kids, let me tell you what Dylan told me the other day. I'm like, Dylan, so where are you going to go to college? I'm not going to college. Why are you not going to college? He says, Dad, you know what I'm going to be doing.
Oh, wow.
I said, well, let's just say it doesn't work out, Daddy. What are you going to be doing? He says, Dad, I don't need to go to college. Look at you. I'm like, buddy, you got a 4.0 GPA. all your grades are straight A's. You're like the best student. You're doing great stuff with school, with sports, with all this stuff. I'm not going to go to college yet. I said, okay, so let's just play this. What if you get a scholarship from XYZ school to go play football or baseball or whatever with them, right? Or soccer with them. What are you going to do? You're not going to go? No, because I'm going straight to play for Barcelona. I'm going to go straight. That's his mindset. He's so flipping competitive. But Tico knows from right here, hey, you know that I'm going to go to USC, or I would like to go to a school that's not too woke, his words.
Yeah.
I would like to go to a school where I can learn how to become a movie guy, Steven Spielberg, all this stuff. But he talks a different language than Dylan. And in our household, we can entertain both thoughts. Okay, let's go to the next topic here. Spotify, $1 billion podcast bet turns into a serial dilemma. This is a Wall Street Journal story. So they invested, page 20, they invested $1 billion in podcasting, including high-profile deals with figures like Kim Kardashian, Obama's Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle. Has not resulted in profitability for most of its shows. The company lost $565 million in the first half of 2023, despite generating $6.2 billion in revenue, while the U.S. podcasting industry is growing with expected revenue of $2.3 billion in 2023. Spotify's substantial investment in the medium haven't translated into profitability. The company faced increased competition, and exclusive podcasts didn't significantly draw new subscribers away from rivals. To meet its profitability goal by 2024, Spotify has taken measures such as laying off 200 employees, raising subscription prices, and sharing revenue risk with talent. This is one thing I will tell you. Just because you're famous in one area doesn't mean your podcast is going to be great. Just because you were the greatest in another space, you may be very boring and you don't know how to valuetain people. Obama and, Bruce Springsteen's podcast after a year being canceled, it was boring. People are like, what am I going to... By the way, most people didn't even know Kardashian had a
I still don't.
a podcast on Spotify.
I don't know how many episodes she even filmed, though.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, think about it. Now, here's the thing. Kim can do a Keeping Up with Kardashians in 20 plus years and be successful. That's a very different world. That's somebody is telling you what to do. You're coming up with drama. There's fights. There's punching. There's cat fights. There's breakups. There's divorces. There's all this stuff. Obama, you could be a president. You get up, you got a nice teleprompter. You give a nice motivational speech. You can go out there and be a Meghan Markle and Prince Harry and be entitled and be annoying and be arrogant and be blaming your family, destroying a legacy, and just everything that no one with the right character would support one to do, and get all these eyeballs, $100 million on Netflix, opportunity where now they want money back and not even paying you the rest. But to be able to carry a podcast like Rogan has, every penny they invested into him, they've made back and more. There's a few people that know how to play this game. This isn't for everybody, and fame alone is not enough.
Can I tell you what Meghan Markle was doing?
What?
Your podcasts are intriguing because you care about the person you're interviewing.
Yeah.
She was having a sit-in, interview the person, and then she would then go redub the questions on her camera, so she was never there in front of the person she was talking to.
Get out of here.
That is exactly what she was
No
doing.
wonder why it failed.
Well, look, you think
It's pretty wild.
For all the people out there, we're talking about famous people. Let me talk to the people that are trying to think about starting their own podcast or starting their own podcast. You think this is easy? You think you just get some microphones and start talking and voila, you have 1 million subscribers? Breaking news. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Speaking of everyone would do it, I believe that podcasting is the new .com of the 2000s or cryptos of the 2010s or NFTs of 2 years ago, and now everyone's jumping on board. What's the story back in the day when it comes to investing? It's like buy the rumors, sell the news. Podcasts are in the news, buddy.
Yep.
Time to sell. And you have no idea how many people I speak to are like, I'm thinking about starting a podcast, and I do everything I can to talk them out of it. I'm like, oh yeah? What are you going to do when you're doing it for a year and you have 12 subscribers?
Right.
Or you spend 4 hours doing a video and you get 100 views. Yep. At what point you're going to be like, dude, this ain't worth it? It ain't worth it out there for most people. You talked about famous people who have...
But I will say something there, just to challenge you a little bit on that. So it depends on what the outcome is. Meaning, I think everybody should consider starting a podcast, okay? But what's the outcome? For example, watch what I'm saying here to you. Guy calls me, says, hey, Pat, if you give us $1 million per year, we'll do a podcast with you. I'm like, okay, you ever done that before? No, but I have a lot of juicy stories. Okay, how many? 1, 2? No, I got 50. Okay. But what are you doing it for? Is it just for money? I think we can get a lot of money. We're seeing what's going on with podcasting. That's a risk. I had a call with a guy yesterday, a 15-minute Minek with a guy yesterday, asking me questions. So he goes to Minek.com, and on there you get 450 Mineks. A bunch of people are asking questions about dating, all this stuff. You get Mineks. People want to ask you about comedy, all these things.
Charisma.
Tom, they do Minek with you all the time on business advice, raising money. And Rob, if you can put the link below to Minek to go download the app, it's available on Google and Apple and all over the place. Anyways, so he asked me a question. He says, hey, Pat, what I want to do is I got this podcast and I've been doing, plumbing for this many years and, we're blowing up in the plumbing business and the construction business. We're selling companies for $200 million. We're doing successful, super successful guy. But I'm willing to bring my podcast to you. So I'm like, really, what's the name of your podcast? I go online, 29 views, 26 views,
great.
32
I'm correct,
views.
man.
For $1 million.
82 views.
For $1 million bucks.
No. But the way he said it, like, I'm willing to bring the podcast to you. Yeah.
Like, you should be lucky.
That's the wrong approach. Why is that the wrong approach? Mm-hmm. Your first thing you got to do it because you want to do it. Number 2, don't do it because you want to make money, because it's very hard. If you do it just because you want to make money, it's going to take a lot of years for you to make money with it. But do it because you want to do it. Even if it's once a month, you start with once a week, you do something like that. Then, once you have a proof of concept that you're winning out there, then we'll find you. Like when Vinny first reached out to me, I'm like, remember one time I was sitting there showing you Vinny videos way before
It was
Vinny
the baseball one.
Yeah, I'm showing Vinny videos. I'm like, this freaking guy is so funny. It wasn't baseball. It was, so we're going to go out there to Vinny DeLucci. So, hey, what's going on out there? And I was like,
the
who
mafia
is this? The mafia stuff, right? Kayvon. I watch Kayvon's videos on the skits he's doing. And, I come back from Harvard. I'm like, Tom, you got to start doing a show for Case Study. We didn't do it because Tom's going to make money. I talked to him like, dude, you got to get on camera. I don't know what you're going to be doing, but you got to do something. You didn't want to do any of this stuff.
That was in 2016.
That was in 2016.
Yeah.
But that's the right way to get into it because there's a love of the game. If you got love of the game, you're going to, some people, and by the way, online, they're freaking brutal. They'll tell you, what an idiot. Oh, he's so full of himself. Oh, look at you. He thinks he's funny. Look how ugly he is. Look at his this. Look at it. They're not going to hold back of making fun of you. So for me, I say do it if you're doing it for the right reasons. Don't do it if you want to get rich.
I will say this, just to kind of counterbalance what you're saying. Well, number one, nobody makes mean comments online. Everyone's the
they love
nicest.
Especially to you.
I'm pretty sure right
Thank
now
you guys
they are
for all the
loving you
love.
right now.
Oh,
People
100%.
love you, Adam.
You talk about, all right, you want to get a podcast, you want to tell your story?
Yeah.
You know who cares about your story, guy who wants to start a podcast? Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about you. Nobody wants to hear your story unless you're providing value to them.
Yeah.
If you're doing it because you actually want to make a difference, because you actually want to give back, because you have empathy and authority, that's a big difference. I didn't start podcasting until I made my money. And I was like, yeah, I'll do this. And I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I made my money. And now there's something more that I want to do with my life and give back. So if you're doing this because you think you want to start a career, you're doing it the other way around. Make your money, have some authority, do something in business, do something in life.
Great counsel.
Have a comedic background, make a name for yourself, and then start podcasting.
Tom.
There's actually a story behind the story here on Spotify. And for those of you that have a business, they actually did 2 things that I think were correct, but they made mistakes along the way. First thing is they go public in 2018, largely a music play, but they had real good success with Premium. I paid for Spotify Premium. I thought it gave me more than Apple and Pandora and a good variety and everything. And after they went public, they decided, you know what? Music is a red ocean. At any time, Apple could move the price per song down to 52 cents. So we want to strategically do something. Look, podcasts are coming. Let's own it.
Rob, which stock is this? I can't tell you because we're
Spotify stock.
Okay,
This is
keep going,
Spotify.
Tom. Keep going.
And go to Max on that. We'll get to that in a second, if you would, please. So they take their money and they go out and they overpay. They paid $235 for Megaphone, $140 for Anchor, so that they bought these services so that they could serve and launch and syndicate podcasts. And then they did one thing right on talent, one thing wrong. You never overpay on exclusivity for an unproven talent. Never. So when they went out and got Rogan, smart. He already had a subscriber base.
He was already blown up on YouTube.
He was what's called a free agent, and they were what's called the Yankees, and they could make the check.
Well played,
Same
Tom.
thing
Thank you.
for Bill Simmons. You don't have to like Bill Simmons. He's a little liberal, but he had the Ringer. They went out and bought him. Later, 2021, they went out and bought Call Her Daddy out of free agency off of Barstool. But then they do these things thinking that, Kim, Meghan and Harry and Obama, completely unproven, and you throw money at them for exclusivity. Exclusive what?
Yeah.
Exclusive what? You're getting exclusive what? You're getting exclusive rookie. That's not the way to do it. And so now they've come back and said, it didn't work. We're redoing the contracts. We're cutting programming. And if you go take a look there over the last month and a half, the stock market, what did I say about layoffs? The market loves layoffs when they're truthful and it turns it into EBITDA. And take a look. They're bouncing back up. However, the interesting thing here, Spotify, since they've gone out in 2018, they are 8% more valuable than when they went out. And Pat, take a look at this. They go up in the top of 2021, that was music. And then they came down when they were suffering red ink losses because of all the stuff they did on podcasts. You see that? And now they say, you know what? We're going to get out of the podcast game.
Let me ask you a question. When was it when they were trying to cancel Rogan? Can you pull up the dates on when they tried to cancel Rogan?
I was 21, 22.
Okay, so I'm curious to know.
2020 was the buying spree on all this talent.
No, I get the buying spree, but when was it when they were trying to cancel him? So that's February 2022. When did people say we're going to remove our music and all that stuff? Is that around that time?
It was about a year ago.
Okay, go back to the stock.
Yeah, I would
go back
say-
to the stock. So 20. So if you go 20 February, no, it was already going down. So that's got nothing.
Can
to
I
do with it.
comment
So
on this graph right here? I think this graph is sort of synonymous with any tech savvy company. During COVID, everyone's isolated, social distancing. They're on their phones. They're in their homes. Everything blows up. I mean, Zoom stock, I think, would be look exactly like this, if not even worse.
Compare.
Higher. It's a higher peak.
Exactly. But so it's just you talk about fake success. A lot of fake success happened during COVID because the world completely changed. All the tech stuff, anything that allowed you to do anything, work from anywhere. Everything was great. Everything was up. Look, is this Zoom right here?
Zoom.
That's exactly what's going on.
So your point is
I'm just
this
saying
is
that
common with everything. So it's not Spotify dropped because of Spotify. They dropped because it was all tech.
Reversion to the mean.
Right.
Everything's going back to where it should be after the
$600
fake
million
success.
loss
The
for 6
difference
months
is
doesn't.
the difference is, which good point. The difference is Zoom went down, they stayed down. Spotify is coming back up because they're making better strategies and better investments. They got a bump. Zoom has not had a bump yet, so we'll see what happens.
Zoom was like the equivalent of having a huge, massive one-hit song called "COVID Love," and then boom, they never had a hit again.
Okay, were you going to say something? All right, let's go to the next story, which kind of coincides with this. Messi drives jump in Apple TV Plus and MLS subscription. Another Wall Street Journal story. Lionel Messi's arrival in North America has a profound impact on subscriptions, with over 110,000 new U.S. signups for MLS Season Pass on the day of his Inter Miami debut, a leap of the prior day's 6,143. So they went from 6,143 people signing up to 110,000 people
one day
signing up in one day. By the way, that's nearly 20x. Okay, Apple TV's experienced substantial growth in subscriptions in July, making the strongest month for new customers in 2023, driven by Messi's presence. Apple CEO Tim Cook acknowledged the positive influence of Messi's move to Inter Miami on their subscriber numbers. Apple's $2.5 billion deal with MLS, granting exclusive streaming rights globally, has proven successful, even with a smaller subscriber base compared to rivals like Netflix. Tom.
Well, here you go. Messi was a proven commodity, comes over to the U.S. market. Apple TV says, we're going to foreground this. We're going to make the MLS season pass. And that's going to, and by the way, tell me if you've heard this story before. Apple TV wants to drive subscriptions to Apple TV, so it creates an exclusive relationship with the sport. Now, what do we know about sport? Every year you want to watch. It's not like I got tired of that series. It kind of got burnt out on me. Game of Thrones finally burned out. There's nothing new. No, sport is your team. Every year there's a new opportunity, a new dream, a new champion, and you have that. It's the same thing DirecTV did with Sunday Ticket. Remember, DirecTV was the only place you could get all the NFL games, and they owned that market. Apple's done the same thing here. It's incredibly smart, and Messi was incredibly smart in his contract to say, "Hey, you know this thing called upside? Yeah, I want a piece of that."
You know, it's crazy. There's 3 things that's keeping cable in business. 1 is old people, 2 is big pharma, and 3 is sports. Watch this. Old people, you got a decade or 2 with them, if you're lucky. Sports, they're about to be picked up by all these other streaming companies that are, picking them up. 3, big cable TV is one president away from making Big Pharma illegal advertising in America from all cable TV being done. And by the way, all it takes is one bold, crazy president to do what? To do something that's never been done before? No. You got 200 countries worldwide, 195, to allow Big Pharma to advertise. We know the two. We've talked about them plenty of times. New Zealand and U.S. If a president in America chooses to do so, you're just going to be another one. Only other country is New Zealand. In what space does the world follow New Zealand's pace? No, nothing. If New Zealand wants to do it, go for it. So streaming is not making it easy for these guys, especially if these sports guys are going there and they're getting results.
Can I say something about Messi? Has anyone had a better year than Lionel Messi?
I was just going to say that.
World Cup champion, winner.
Yeah.
Has the opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia for what? $400 million a year. And says, nah, I'm going to bet on myself.
Wow.
I'm going to take the upside with this Apple deal. I'm going to move to the best city in the world, Miami, Florida. Yeah, shout out to Mayor Suarez.
The best neighborhood.
Here in Florida, best neighborhoods. But this is called betting on yourself. And you hit the nail on the head, Tom. He was a free agent. He'd already proven himself. He was the Joe Rogan of football. And look at him now, baby. And he's dominating the MLS right now.
Killing it.
They're the hottest team on the planet now. Yep. You got David Beckham there. You got LeBron there. Everyone's going to the games. Dave Grutman, everyone. It's the greatest show on turf at this point.
Yeah, you're right.
And one parting shot on the business side, Pat, is sports does well because nobody fast forwards through the ads. Everybody watches live, and you end up watching the ads, whereas it's a proven fact that only about a quarter of Americans watch the ads if they're watching something else.
What a great point.
They usually fast forward through them,
that makes
especially
sense.
if they're watching later and they're binge
That's
watching.
Right. I only have one friend that would watch reruns, and he would tell everybody, don't tell me any of the score of what happened. Steve would
the
watch.
whole thing.
No, he would watch the Miami Heat games later on when he would come home.
Yep.
He would watch it on his pace, record it. Not live. He liked to watch the games, and none of his friends could tell him what the results were. So people would piss him off with some of the scores. So what a loss tonight.
Real
what a
hard
win
to
tonight.
do at this point.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that part. Next story I want to get to is top Fed official signals interest rates to stay on hold at September meeting. This is a Financial Times story. Vinny, I'm going to come to you on this one.
Finally, I'm just sitting here waiting with these numbers.
Christopher Waller, a Federal Reserve official, suggested that the central bank is likely to keep its benchmark interest rate unchanged at the upcoming September meeting, citing recent economic data as not warranting imminent monetary tightening. Waller emphasized there's nothing that is saying we need to do anything imminent anytime soon. Waller's remarks echoed Federal Reserve Chair Jay Powell's stance at Jackson Hole, Wyoming symposium, emphasizing a data-driven approach. Recent labor market reports indicated a slowing demand for workers in the U.S., prompting the Fed to closely monitor inflation indicators. Despite improvements in inflation data, Waller remained cautious, emphasizing the importance of sustained trends rather than isolated reports. Tom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the Fed's going to get together September 19th and 20th, but Jay Powell will not be going upstairs to pound the cheerleader. She's going to get a break. They're not going to raise rates.
Jesus.
It's not going to happen. However, on Halloween, Jerome Powell's going to dress as somebody, and they're going upstairs. And unless some of these soft economic things that we're seeing, we're probably going to get a quarter-point increase on October 31st. And there's a lot of people, including me, analysts, that believe that will be our last increase. And then we're got to get through the winter, see how Black Friday and fourth quarter goes and everything like that. But I'm hoping there's none on October 31st, but it looks like with the softness, we'll probably get a quarter point, but nothing in the next 2 weeks, which is a good thing.
When will be the first decrease?
I think the first decrease, I'm with the consensus on this.
February?
The bigger banks is probably April, right at the beginning of second quarter, is you get a quarter point back. But here's what it needs, and it's kind of bad. What it needs is softer consumer spending so it doesn't drive inflation prices, and it needs a little bit of softness in the labor market. So some layoffs, and we're seeing some of those. We need a little bit more softness in the labor market to keep wages down a bit.
How much of what Amazon does on Black Friday and holiday season is going to kind of tell us where consumer spending is and how it's going to dictate interest rates?
Well, I happen to be very interested in how the hell the U.S. consumer is going to make Black Friday crazy when they've now drove their consumer credit cards up to $1 trillion.
Brilliant.
How do they go nuts
Yeah.
on Black Friday this year if 30 days ago consumer credit hit the largest total credit balance of all time?
Yeah, I was just going to go there if you follow the math. So let's just follow some of the numbers here for a second. So the Fed funds rate, right, is what? 5.25%, 5.5%, right? So that's the rate at which the Fed lends money to or gives money to the banks. And then the prime rate, which is the number that banks will use to basically disperse money to the regular people, is usually around 3% higher than the Fed funds rate. So basically you're talking Fed fund rate 5.25%, 5.5% to the prime rate, which you would receive or businesses would receive at about 8.5%.
There's your mortgages.
Okay, there are your mortgages, exactly. But you brought up the best point. The average person out there, you talked about that credit card debt just passed $1 trillion. Student debt's already done it. Auto loans are already there. Mortgages are already 10 trillion, whatever the number is over there. But speaking of credit card debt, you know the prime rate being 8.5%. Do you know the average credit card rate in America today? The average, take a guess.
24?
19.5.
19.9%, 20%. Highest of all time was 17% last year. So they're breaking records. These are the type of records that you want to be breaking if you're an average consumer. So it's very important to just pay attention to the interest rates. There it is right there. 20.9, 21% if you just want to round up. Okay, listen, if you're trying to make money investing, a good, decent rate of return would be what? 10%?
9.
10%, that's what the stock market pays over time. You're losing money going the opposite way when you're trying to go this way. It's disastrous and it's killing your wealth.
Guys, listen, because I don't want to show off, Pat, and get into all the finance stuff, but everything that you and Tom said, I concur. So that's
great.
as we're
Thank you
there.
for that.
And your
I don't want to.
constituents agree.
My constituents are 100.
We appreciate that. We appreciate
Do you know
your-
the cap on credit card debt? What like the highest they can charge you? Do you know what it is?
No clue.
30%.
Wow.
That's that's all that they're allowed to. So right now
used
you're
to
paying,
be higher.
Let's start a credit card company,
Yeah,
Pat.
well, that's a big business to get into, but what they're starting to do is the level of regulation and scrutiny right now with Visa, MasterCard, the world they're dealing with, it's not what it used to be. Because a lot of guys see these numbers and they're like, let's go into the credit card business. It's not what you think it is. There used to be a lot of money in it years ago. They've kind of, regulations hurt them a little bit. It's still profitable, but it takes a lot more to get into it. But, Rob, can you do me a favor? Pull up the Liberty Safe story. Pull up the Liberty Safe story on what just happened. By the way, very weird story, guys, on what happened with Liberty Safe. Can you just go pull up what Liberty Safe is? Some people have a Liberty Safe, and they
lot of
don't.
people
Maybe you don't know what Liberty Safe is,
I
but
have no
once you
clue
see
what
it,
they are. All right.
go to images. Just go to images.
It's not that song, Liberty, Liberty.
No,
that's-
it's not that.
different.
So that's a Liberty Safe. Go to their logo, okay? Like I have a Liberty Safe.
Is that the
have-
one you have?
I have one of them. I
Yeah.
have a Liberty Safe, and I have a Liberty Safe. Okay,
Liberty
so
not so safe.
Yeah, so watch this. Now go to the story. What happened? Credible story. Been around for a long time. A lot of people who are gun owners trust what Liberty Safe is. You know, their history goes years back on what they've done, et cetera, et cetera. I can say a bunch of things about these guys. However, story comes out. Gun safe maker facing backlash for giving FBI access to customer safe without court order. What? Liberty Safe and Security Products, a popular manufacturer of gun safes, is facing heavy criticism for helping the FBI carry out a raid last week on a man who allegedly participated in January 6th Capitol riot. The company, which advertises itself as America's #1 heavy-duty, no longer home and gun safe manufacturer, it's about to change, admitted on Wednesday to turning over the defendant's private access codes to feds without a court order, prompting backlash and raising questions about why Liberty Safe even had the codes in the first place. On August 30th. Agents from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, raided and arrested 34-year-old Arkansas resident Nathan Hughes in connection with the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021. Hughes was served with an arrest warrant charging him with a felony civil disorder offense on a misdemeanor participation in the 2.5 years since so-called insurrection. The FBI has arrested over 700 people, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, when you think about this, go a little lower, Rob, if you can. Go a little lower. What do Hodge Twins say there? I want to
That's
see what
their
they
friend.
say.
You know that, Pat. That's their friend.
Okay, so watch this. This is a very big deal, by the way. Do you remember what happened at San Bernardino shooting?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So who was the president back then?
That was Obama.
Barack.
Obama was president. Who did he allegedly and his camp call to get
Apple.
to break the code to the iPhone?
Tim Cook.
And what did Tim Cook said?
Go to hell.
Go to
said,
hell.
nope.
Now let's get this straight. Tim Cook was the first openly gay CEO of a Fortune 500 company in the world to come out and say, I'm gay,
Yep.
I'm a CEO, and I'm taking Apple from $100 billion to a $3 trillion company. Liberty Safe, if you were to guess which side of the aisle you think politically most of their customers are going to be, what would you guess they are?
I would
on
say
the right.
I would say Republicans. 'cause
What
they got
percentage
guns.
would you say they're on the right?
85%.
Okay, let's say 75+% is
Okay.
on the right. What the hell are you thinking?
It's a big mistake.
What are you thinking? Like, so now, what do you think a customer is going to look at Liberty Safe and say, what's my alternative? Aren't these guys the guys that give up the code to other people? Aren't these guys the guys that give up the code to everybody? Isn't this the guy that, wait, free enterprise, free market companies going to help the government? So you're going to work together to get my access? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not okay with this. What do you think when you hear a story like this?
Horrible, because think about it. You're paying for this service and you're paying for the privacy. And that, mind you, besides the fact that the Proud Boy situation, that's something that we're going to get into later. It's like, I don't care what the situation is, getting into that there's a contract that you sign when you buy this type of stuff. And Pat, I don't know if you guys know this or not. Last night, they came out with a response, Liberty Safe. Rob, I sent you the photos if you want to put that up. They said, we listened to our, because they know the Bud Light situation is about to happen.
They just tucked it.
Yeah, we listened to our customers and updated our products and practices in response to the evolving needs. Today, we are announcing a change that empowers our customers with the greater
late.
control. Exactly, too late. So information effective immediately. Existing customers can visit the libertysafe.com pages, combination removal, and fill out. You have to do the work. Fill out a form to have records of their access codes expunged in the coming weeks and be releasing the feature that gives you every new customer this option when registering their safe. So basically, Pat, they know they're messing up and they're going backwards. But listen, like you just said, it's too late.
And here's the other thing. They're saying it's an insurrection. They had to go into the guy's safe. If he brought those weapons to the Capitol, then I'd say put him in jail. But you're going in his safe, getting his code. Obviously, it wasn't out in the open. I don't see the
Yeah,
point.
no, it's
These guys were founded in 1988. Rob, if you can go to their Wikipedia, Liberty Safe began operations out of a single storage unit. Over the past 30 years, the company has grown from a small facility to a 205,000 square foot facility in Utah and can produce more than 500 safes a day. As of 2018, they claim to have sold 2 million safes during the first 30 years. The company employs 350 people. Founder's name is Jack Crosby. I don't even know if Jack Crosby is still running the company or not. But this is a massive, just so you know, Liberty Safe, it may take you years before you gain the trust back of people
Look
out
at the
there.
name of the CEO.
That's what I said, Jack Crosby.
No. 2 lines down.
Oh, hang
the
on.
CEO.
The key people. Joe Fail. Well, there
Damn
you go.
straight.
Oh,
fail
man.
safe. Fail safe.
Fail.
But isn't it ironic, Adam, the word safe, like you're a safe company. Now nobody's going to feel safe, especially when you're giving the FBI access to your
So we have something from their marketing group that says, in response to the controversy, we are changing our name to Tyranny Unsafe, and our slogan will be, when you need to protect your guns most of the time.
Nice.
At least they're being honest and truth and
I just have a question, maybe just to play devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah.
So how does this work? Is there a search warrant involved? At what point do they have to open up the safe? I'm just wondering. I'm sure they weren't like excited to do this.
Apple was not charged. They held their ground
Okay.
and said, we are
Yeah.
not going to give you, we are not giving this up.
Because think about it, Adam, regardless of the situation, Proud Boys or whatever, we're talking about insurrection, right? Nobody was shot. The only person that was shot and killed was a United States military female veteran. So I don't know
Unarmed.
what does he have in there? The map and the diagram of the Capitol. It's ridiculous, and I'm happy that they're being exposed. And yeah, Pat, I agree that it's going to take them a long time. By the way, you have that big safe. Pat, you have a safe that's
a
the
Liberty
size
safe.
of you. It's a Liberty safe.
It's a massive Liberty
That's
Safe.
the first thing I
Didn't
thought of.
something happen with the safe? We couldn't open it?
No. Yeah, of course. Yeah, but so just so you know,
Call the FBI.
Browning Safe is a competitor of theirs, and there's a couple other ones. Fort Knox is another one. Browning Safe is one of them. Browning has been around for 145 years, since 1878. And what's so funny is they're also out of Utah. So both companies are out of Utah, Browning and Liberty Safe. So if we go to Fort Knox, go look to see how long Fort Knox has been around.
I would invest in them today, Pat. Like, think about it. I would invest in them, and I would put a promo for if I was them right now. I'd be like, hey guys, guess what? You want your stuff safe? Come to us.
Browning safe.
Yeah, Browning.
So, but what's the Fort Knox safe? Can you look at their history on how long they've been around? At this point, I'm actually really curious to know how long they've been around gun safes. What is the year? If you do have it, Rob. Let me see this. Is it shown on their website on what it is? If you go to About Us. Anyways.
It says
1892.
1982. So Browning is in the 1800s. Fort Knox is 1982. This other one is also in the 80s. Liberty Safe. Big miss. This is big miss. I mean, look, is it going to make you think twice? You go to the store to buy a safe. You see Liberty Safe. You see Browning. You see Fort Knox. Who are you going to buy?
Not Liberty. How about that?
Yeah,
I'll go
whatever
anywhere
but
else,
Liberty.
man.
Does it change your influence, Tom? You're a gun owner.
Completely changes my influence because I look at it this way. I'm thinking 2 steps ahead. You know, your next 5 moves?
Yeah.
I have a thing called your next 5 thoughts. I'm like, what if they have a rogue employee that's just go get my access code and get my address off the warranty card and come over and steal my shit?
That's the point.
Yeah, this is
And a hack? If they're carrying these codes? That doesn't make me feel good.
You know what it does do? It gives you so much more respect for Tim when Tim Cook didn't give anything to Obama.
I agree.
It gives so much more respect for Tim Cook. And by the way, this leads me into what's going on with China, what China announced with Apple. If you can pull this up, Rob. China has just imposed an immediate ban on all Apple devices by government officials. Apple's the largest company in the world, and 96% of their products are manufactured in China. Let me say this again. 96% of their products are manufactured in China. If you go to read the story, against the backdrop of the tensions between Beijing and Washington, the extension of a ban imposed for more than 2 years ago, signaling growing challenges in the U.S., which relies heavily on China for revenue growth and manufacturing. Staff in the 3 ministries and government bodies were told not to use iPhone at work, said the sources, who declined to be named due to their sensitivity of the situation. One of the sources said they had not yet been given a deadline to seize their iPhone. Apple and China's State Council Information Office, which handles media queries on behalf of the government, did not immediately respond to requests for comment. It was not immediately clear how widely the ban was being enforced, with a third source at one of the 3 ministries saying he still was using an iPhone and had not heard about the restriction. A fourth source at a Chinese regulatory body said they had not been explicitly banned, but were told they would be held responsible should any issue emerge with their use of their iPhone. And a fifth source said at another regulatory body said senior staff had 2 years ago already been required to swap their iPhones for locally made brands such as Huawei Technologies. What else do we have under 2020 Chinese? Okay, go a little lower, Rob, to see if there's anything else there. Can you do me a favor? Bloomberg on Thursday reported that China planned to broaden the ban. Bloomberg on Thursday reported that China planned to broaden the ban to state firms and agencies, citing sources. Let's see what Apple stock is doing based on this announcement. Did it do anything to Apple stock today? Go to Apple stock today. It's down 3.2%. Okay, Apple stock is down 3.2%, which 3.2% may not seem like a lot of money, but 3.2% is roughly $3 trillion. You got 10% would be $300 billion. 3% would be $30 billion loss today.
Pat, what is the reasoning behind why don't
Apple lost $30 billion today.
They lost a Snapchat.
They got to get a hold of Hillary.
They lost a Snapchat today.
Oh wow, that's hilarious.
Yeah, they lost the Snapchat.
Pat, what do you think? What do you think's behind the not using a phone that's made in that country? Is it for security? Are they watching you? Are you on the internet? Are you what?
There's a lot of different things going on here. One, Tim Cook slowly moved 25% of his structure to India, like to manufacturing he wanted to do in India. And then even Apple ended up having some friction with India. If you go back and, Rob, type in Tim Cook, Apple, India, there was some problems there. Manufacturing, that they're going back and forth. And so when you say you're moving gradually some of your business outside of China, China's sitting there saying, wait a minute.
Decoupling.
All these years, we gave you all this business. Now you want to move out to a different place. What are you doing? But the reality of it is Tim Cook has to do this, and he has to do it in such a subtle, patient way, knowing if there is a man a CEO in the world that's walking on eggshells and has been walking on eggshells for the last 2 years, it's Tim Cook. Imagine you're a $3 trillion company, all eyes on you, okay? You're trying to move 96% of your manufacturing is made in China. After COVID, China showed how much control they had around the world, the control with the chips. And you're like, hey, guys, we have to slowly, don't tell anybody, we got to move this out. How are we going to do this 96% to a different place? I don't know, but we have to do it, and we have to do it slowly. So
Break
guess
up
what?
with the cycle.
Yeah.
By the way, just something crazy to be thinking about. Do you know the new iPhone is coming out next couple weeks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know how much it's going to be?
I heard it's more than a MacBook Pro.
1,000?
No. Put the new iPhone price.
You know, right?
Oh, you heard
know?
about this, right?
I heard.
It's going to be the most expensive iPhone ever.
It's like 11.
It's going to be the most expensive iPhone ever. If you can just find out the most recent story, Rob, on how much they're selling it at. There's stories of it. Don't go to stores. Go to stories. Go to news. Go to news all the way at the top. Yeah, it's not showing you anything. Okay.
How much?
So
What's the average price?
I listen. The stories I've heard is 35% more than it usually is. That's what I've heard. And I may be wrong, but I've heard it's going to be pretty high. And I don't know if this has anything to do with that.
Scroll down a little, maybe.
Go a little lower.
A little lower, right there.
iPhone 15 will be starting at
13.
$799.
That's what I heard. I heard the 15
$899,000.
Pro was
Yo, Pat, you might like
15 Pro Max starts at $1,300, and it can go as high as $2,000.
What? I'd rather get a computer. You'd rather get a MacBook than
But
just,
you have to also realize, if Apple is having to move this stuff out, they don't have a choice but to
Raise that.
have to raise prices. So a lot of people want this thing to be made in America. We can make it in America for 3 times the price. You okay with that?
$4,000
Yeah.
phone in your. Yeah.
Well,
By the way, there's another real quick one here on India. So not only do they want to move to India so that they can manufacture and they can balance the risk of Chinese manufacture and things like that, like a conservative president putting tariffs and things like that. So Tim Cook's trying to do that. But what is Tim Cook's market share today in India?
That's a very good point.
question.
5.1%. It is 95% Android. So if you want to keep growing, you have to open new markets and you have to find new consumers. And there's a big stack of them sitting in India. So they want to make the phones there, and they also want to break open into the India market and have more success with it.
There's only one big problem with India, okay?
What?
India is not China. Let me explain what I mean by this. India is one of the only big countries in the world that's banned TikTok. India's banned 100
Chinese apps.
Chinese apps in India. India doesn't give a shit about America or China. They're not playing the card of being controlled and being bought. They've seen what happened to other places. They do not. The benefit India has is they're 10 years behind China, right? Whether it's with their roads, whether it's with their internet, whether it's with their broadband. Their broadband sucks, by the way, in India, and they don't have it in a lot of different markets. Infrastructure is a mess over there, right? Schooling, all of that. Hospitals, airports, ports, period. They have a lot of problems. But the benefit of being 10 years behind is it gives you what?
Growth.
You get to see
gives
case
you
study
vision.
of all the
Exactly.
mistakes they made, and you get to see the relationship between China and U.S. to say, look, those are 19 mistakes China made. Those are 17 mistakes U.S. made. Guys, we're not going to be doing this because we do not want to be in control like America, and we don't want to be losing trust around the world like China did. Let's move a little bit more strategically. That's the edge India, I believe, has.
and then don't forget, India is the largest democracy in the world under Modi, right? And everything they're doing. China is still CCP, communism, state-run capitalism, however you want to put it. Back to the Tim Cook Apple thing. I don't know. What kind of responsibility do you take for moving 97% of your manufacturing over to a communist country so you can get some cheap child labor? Respect. But I don't know. There's some level of accountability has to pay for it. And you talked about we got to quietly move things out to India. They're well aware. They're watching everything.
Yeah, the elephant's
okay?
leaving
The
the room.
spy balloon.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I love this Insider article. It says China may now never take over the U.S. crown as the world's largest economy. So that's big news. Ever since we've been focusing on the China issue, ever since we started the podcast, 2020, I've been like, holy shit, China, they're coming for us. China 2025, China 2030, they're coming for us. But COVID has basically allowed the world to be like, what's really going on in China right now?
Good.
And what have we seen? Tourism has plummeted. Investments in the country has plummeted. Businesses are slowly, stealthily moving out of there. But the biggest thing that China has lost is trust. The world don't trust you, Xi Jinping. The world is fully aware of what you got going on now. And now, whether it's stealthily or openly, people are like, I'm getting the hell out of this place.
But let me address the first question, which is a very valid question you brought up on Tim Cook. It is on Tim Cook to have the answer to the question, why is 96% of your manufacturing for Apple being done in China?
Yeah.
Very fair question. Okay. His comeback, I don't know what his answer is going to be. I'm not going to speak on his behalf, but this is what I would be thinking. I would say when we first started doing business with China, China didn't have the kind of lack of trust in the world that they do today. What did you want me to do? We've been doing business with China for many, many years. And all of a sudden, we're so in too deep because we were able to make nice margins, deliver the product for people. We were able to get, as many iPhones that people wanted to order. No other country could move this fast, not including America, not including this at the price that you want, and for us to get our margins. So when you're in too deep in a relationship like that, in today's economy, let's just say Tim is starting Apple today and Steve Jobs just came out with the iPhone today or the iPod today or the iTouch today, whatever the new product is. He's probably in today's climate not signing a manufacturing deal with China. But this is a relationship that's been going on for decades with China, way before they were a scary empire on what they did with COVID.
Well, I totally understand
that's that point.
I understand that. If I may respond. He was well aware that it's still a communist country, even if they were, had certain capitalist tendencies. He was well aware. But I don't know, maybe I'm just oversimplifying this. If I have an investment portfolio, if I'm starting a company, or if I'm my own personal investment portfolio, I have 60% domestic stocks, I have 25% international, I have 5% bonds, I'm putting 2% in crypto. I'm going to diversify. So just God forbid the US economy goes down or the Chinese economy goes down, what there's going to be other asset classes that go up. To go in, I don't know if it's 96 or 97%, whatever it is, that is the vast majority of your manufacturing.
Not how business works, bro. That's not.
Well, then teach me.
No, it's not. You're asking the right question. This is when the podcast gets exciting, when we're having these types of exchanges, right? So I just Googled when Apple started doing business with China. Okay, so check this out.
Probably
Rob,
1990.
No, it's 2001, believe it or not. I thought it was further back, right? Yeah. So if you Google, Rob, when did Apple start doing business with China? That's exactly the words. It'll come up. In 2001, Apple brokered a partnership with China. Apple brokered a deal with China. The government poured billions of dollars into a new infrastructure for Apple, building factories, paving new roads, constructing housing for Apple workers. Kate Whitehead helped oversee Apple's operations in China. Now, watch this. When did Steve Jobs die?
Probably right around then.
Nope, he died in 2011, 10 years later.
Oh, really?
Okay. Wow. Yeah, so meaning
it's
none
only
of...
been 10 years or 12 years since...
Yeah, so the point is, this is under Steve Jobs. When you're in China and Steve... Everybody thought China was the way to go back in the days. China was like the future frontier. Yeah. Richard Nixon brokered the deal. Nixon. Everything is good. We're all doing business. Ray Dalio's hardcore pro-China. One of the interviews I did with Ray Dalio, we talked about China. Was not the friendliest interview.
No, it was
very uncomfortable talking about China because he was defending China. And I'm like, wait a minute, America first over China. But the moral of the story is when you're in too deep like that. And by the way, when did they launch iPhone? What year did they launch iPhone? What year was iPhone launched? I'm actually curious.
2007?
2004.
I don't know. 07? Okay.
7? Okay.
So 2007 iPhone is launched.
Wow.
You sign a deal with China in 01. 2011, Jobs dies. Tim Cook comes in 2011, 2012. You're kind of coming in and seeing the numbers, and then all of a sudden, now you're today. Tim Cook has a very hard job today.
So what you're saying is it's not on Cook, it was on Jobs, and now Cook it's his deal, is responsibility to unwind.
I don't think it's on anybody. I mean, we have an insurance company that we're doing all these policies, right? So yesterday we're having a conversation with one of our carriers right now that we've given so much business to that now it's kind of like, you have to make the adjustments where somebody doesn't have that much market share. 96 is very scary, very, very scary. I very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to have 96%
imagine if
coming
96% of PHP's business went to
That's why I'm saying
National Life, one carrier.
This is a great conversation to have. is what I'm saying to you. It's a very good conversation to have right now with this. Okay, any comments? So we go to the next story. Okay, let's go to the next story here. All right, so next story. BMW, Mercedes-Benz launched biggest EV push yet to catch Tesla, their new models. Let's go to page number 6. BMW and Mercedes are aggressively entering the electric vehicle market to counter competition with Tesla and Chinese contenders. At the IAA Mobility Motor Show, they revealed significant development, unveiling electric concept cars and advanced EV platforms to solidify their presence in the EV domain. Mercedes introduced the new concept CLA class, an electric vehicle built on new architecture, featuring a remarkable range of 750 kilometers and the capability to achieve 400 kilometers range within a 15-minute charge. Mercedes-Benz CEO Ola Kalanios emphasized the revolutionary nature of the car, stating, with those efficiency numbers, that kind of range, that kind of fast charging, I'm not aware of any vehicle in that class that can match it. On the other hand, BMW showcased the Vision New Class, a new electric concept car that underlines the company's EV ambitions and introduced a new platform for EVs. Rob, can you show the picture of that Mercedes-Benz they're talking about? Let's see what it looks like. Tom, go for it. What are your thoughts when you hear this story here?
Well, first of all, everyone's caught up with making cars with Tesla, and they're cute on the little side, and they're gorgeous on the big side, and they're going farther than ever, which now they're able to get over 300 miles pretty regularly with the battery technology. What's funny in this is all the headlines are, Elon Musk has finally been caught by all the automakers. Finally, he's going to take it in the chops on this. Well, on June 16th, Ford came to Elon Musk and said, we'd like to sign a contract with you so that our people have been asking us a question since buying Ford Lightning pickups. Outside of my garage, where do I plug this son of a bitch in? And Tesla has 12,000 superchargers across the United States. Then in July, Mercedes, before these announcements were made, said, yeah, can we borrow your superchargers? So that's now built into the Mercedes credit card. When you get a Mercedes that's electric and you go charge at a Tesla, it automatically charges to you. And then 7 car makers got together, including Hyundai, Kia, and BMW, and announced 7 years after Elon Musk started building electric gas stations, they announced, we're going to build a chain of our own as well. And so what I think is really interesting is electric cars have never been better. We're living in the golden age of electric vehicles right now. They're beautiful. Look at this. They're advanced. The chips and everything. We were talking about NVIDIA the other day, and you just look at what's in there. They're just gorgeous. But plugging them in and keeping them going, even when they go 300 miles, is another thing. And the other side of Tesla, they're an energy company. And so he's a gas station for everybody else. So I like to say Elon Musk started a war for razors, but he's out there selling razor blades.
Gotta love it. I love that he's doing that. And I will tell you a couple of different things here, Tom, to be considering with this. Number one, capitalism works. You know, the competitors are probably watching Tesla and seeing a CEO that's a bit distracted because he's dealing with a bigger problem, which is Twitter, and his focus is no longer one-dimensional focus on a company. Anytime somebody's 100% focused on one company, no matter how smart you are, no matter how brilliant you are, no matter how sharp you are, you're always going to beat the competitor if you're 100% focused on one item, one project, than you are on dealing with a lot of different things. So when he was focused on Tesla, you know, great. It's a formidable competitor. So capitalism seen that as an opportunity to capitalize. Number two is the following. Who do you think has a higher ESG score? BMW, Mercedes-Benz, or Tesla?
Not Tesla.
It's not even a question. So BMW, Mercedes-Benz, all of these guys, when a book comes out, when a business book comes out, I'll never forget what our publisher said to us. I'm not going to name the publisher, and please don't say what publisher if I'm saying this. So if a publisher comes out to us and say, hey, Pat, the position you're taking, I'm telling you right now, New York Times, no matter if you sell 100,000 copies your first month. By the way, Your Next 5 Moves, I couldn't even believe it. If you go on Amazon right now, type in Your Next 5 Moves, the book, I've not promoted this book for God knows. I don't even know when's the last time I brought up Your Next 5 Moves on this podcast, the book. Go to Your Next 5 Moves and go to Audible. If you can just go on Audible, click on the book, and then go on Audible right in the middle, and then go all the way on the bottom, ranking. Okay, click on audiobooks, and go all the way in the bottom, and then zoom in a little bit on the ranking. Zoom in a little bit. Right there. Zoom in a little bit. It's right above you, Rob. Rob, zoom in right there. Right there, bro, ranking.
Top of the screen, right there. Rob.
Jesus, Rob.
Holy shit, Rob, right there.
Oh, my
ranking.
God.
Number
Rob, you're on it. Just zoom in. It says bookseller ranking to the left, top left. Oh my God.
Scroll up a little bit.
Right there.
Yay!
Okay?
Robbie!
Out of 10 million audiobooks, it's ranked 146 today.
Wow.
How? This is the highest it's ever ranked since we launched the book 3 years ago. I don't even know why it's ranked. We've not sold this book a single time, right? But here's the part. The publisher said something very interesting to me. He said, Pat, if you want this book to be a New York Times bestseller, just know they're not going to pick a guy like you to be on the New York Times bestseller list. You're just not going to be, because you're not their audience, okay? So then we had Toobin here, Jeffrey Toobin,
Talking
okay?
Toobin.
Oh, yeah.
Who's here, okay?
The Mad Jacker.
His book doesn't make it on the Wall Street Journal. And because, you know, the Wall Street Journal goes based on numbers being sold.
Mm-hmm.
New York Times doesn't go based on numbers being sold. New York Times goes based on likability, and they value you. Wall Street Journal is, you sold numbers, you're ranked. We get the report. New York Times, like, you need more than just numbers.
Yeah.
We're looking for you being this and you being that and you being this. Okay.
Wow.
So what lists and media companies you think are going to write positive? By the way, here, his book came out May 2nd, 2023. It's, these books become New York Times bestsellers. I don't know if this one, but his last 2 or 3 became New York Times bestsellers.
And
right?
chapter 6 and 7 are stuck together on every
Yeah,
book.
that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Horrible.
But here's the point. Here's the point. What magazines, websites, articles you think are going to write positively about Tesla?
No.
Which one of you are going to?
No.
Number one EV in the world, Tesla. No. This is all opinion, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when it comes down to opinion, who's going to be at the top? Mercedes. You're going to have BMW. You're going to have anybody.
Which is ironic because they come from the Germany regime.
They don't care about that.
they don't care.
Anything but Tesla.
Elon's a Nazi.
Yeah.
But we love Mercedes to be a
who is actually from there, right?
Yeah.
But the V have changed.
Yeah. So when you think about this part, what do you think about competition? Who has an advantage? They have a massive advantage. You know, when we lead into the next story here, next story being about the gentleman that was interviewed, Larry, who was interviewed on Tucker Carlson, right?
I gotta loosen up my tongue because I'm gonna go.
So this story
get
comes
spicy.
out, and by the way, a lot of people are infuriated with Tucker Carlson interviewing this guy. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? Barack Obama has not been a president for this many years. Shame on you, Tucker. You're just doing it for eyeballs. I think I heard Jon Stewart. If he can pull up Jon Stewart, it wasn't even Jon Stewart. I think I saw another person that said his failed propaganda show on Twitter. His failed propaganda show on Twitter after getting fired from Fox. So that's the storyline on what they're saying, right? But anyways, he interviews this guy. Bit risky. Rob, I think you brought him up to us like a month ago. Didn't you bring this up
I did.
2 months
I pitched
ago?
it in a meeting.
He actually did.
What, Larry Sinclair?
He brought him up like a couple months
love
ago,
you, Rob.
right?
And what did you say?
I said, not right now. I'm like, not right now, Rob. Okay, so, but the story comes out that Obama, that Tucker Carlson claims Obama smoked crack and had gay sex. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let me read this properly on page 8, folks. If you got kids listening, tell them to go have ice cream and step away for a few minutes. Okay, all right, here we go. Tucker Carlson, during an interview with Dave Portnoy, revived Larry Sinclair's claim, stating in 2008 it became clear that Barack Obama had been having sex with men and smoking crack. Carlson noted that Sinclair signed an affidavit and then underwent a lie detector test saying, I smoked crack with Barack Obama and had sex. And that was obviously true. Carlson criticized the media's handling of the allegation, saying that the Obama campaign threatened to deny access to anyone reporting on the claims. He emphasized nobody reported on it because they were squeamish about sex or drugs. But because the Obama campaign said anyone who reports on this gets no access to Obama's campaign. So no one talked about it. And this guy was seen as a cuckoo, crazy, drug addict. He's got a big criminal record. And if you go back, look at his criminal record, it's between 1980 to 1986. And he does have some things, but it's mainly during that era. So they have to undermine him. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm purely going based on speculation. One question I have is, why is Tucker doing it now? Is it because he's now free and he's able to do whatever he wants to do, and he wanted to do this at Fox, and Fox wouldn't allow him to interview this guy and report him? That could be one reason. 2, what other motive does he have to want to get under Obama's skin today? And it's a trending topic all over Twitter, okay, when you see something like this. What are your thoughts on this story?
Well, first of all, Barack's he's a little rascal. That guy, besides the drugs and all that stuff, let's just really break down.
Let me be clear.
Yeah. First of all, that the night in question, the Larry Sinclair, Pat, he's visiting his godson. He's graduating from the military naval thing. He gets a limo. He leaves. He asked the limo driver, "Hey, I want to hook up with dudes and I want to do drugs." The limo driver goes, "I have the spot and I know some people." So this is like he's delivering gay guys to Barack, almost like Uber Eats, but for gay men. It's like Uber gay. So
This is in Chicago?
in Chicago.
When is this?
In Chicago. So in Chicago. So guys, he brings him there, Pat. He gets Barack. They have some drinks. He's doing cocaine with him on a CD thing. Barack pulls out a pipe and he smokes it. And even Larry Sinclair's like, to each his own, whatever. They start getting down in the limo. But here's the thing where people are like, why do you care? And listen, I'll get to that point. But let's go. I did a timeline, Pat, of suspect activity. And first of all, yesterday, Michelle Obama, knowing that this interview was coming out, she traveled to Mallorca, Spain, and spent time with her close friends, Jamie Costa and his husband, Michael Smith, a gay couple, without Barack. Barack stayed back, all right? Let's go do the timeline. 1999, he smokes crack with Larry Sinclair, who, mind you, Pat, signed the affidavit and passed the lie detector test. I don't know if any of you guys have taken lie detector tests. I have in the military. You're not a guy, some random dude that's gay and does drugs, and he's not passing it, Pat. CIA operatives know how to pass it because they train to pass it, okay? So I think his claim is legit. Let's go 2007. Choir director at Barack Obama's church, Donald Young, who allegedly knew about Obama and his homosexuality lifestyle, was murdered in Chicago in his apartment. He was shot multiple times at close range, twice in the head. No signs of forced entry. The door was unlocked, but the neighbors said they didn't hear a gunshot. All right. Fast forward, 2014, Joan Rivers, TMZ asked her on camera if the country was ready for the first gay president. And what did she say? We already have one with Obama, and Michelle Obama's a transgender. 2 weeks later, she dies on an operating table on a routine medical procedure. Fast forward, July 2023, Obama's personal chef, Tafari Campbell, a self-proclaimed trained swimmer, was found dead at Martha's Vineyard, right by the Obama estate. Allegedly, he was paddleboarding in 8 feet of water and he drowned. He was found naked and his clothes were like a far distance away, and they won't let us know who he was paddleboarding with. Oh, and by the way, Michelle and Barack, initially they said that they weren't on the island. They were there, and photos surfaced, Pat, where Barack had a black eye, but nobody got into that situation.
Brokeback Vineyard.
Exactly. And lastly, just recently, old love letters from 1982 resurfaced that Barack wrote to his then college sweetheart, Alexandra McNair, and in one of those letters, he wrote, and I quote, "In regard to homosexuality, I must say that I believe this is an attempt to remove oneself from the present, a refusal perhaps to perpetrate the endless farce of earthly life." You see, I make love to men daily in my imagination. He tells her this. And here's my thing, Pat. I can care less that if you're gay, if you're not, I don't care. But if you're holding on to that secret and you've been lying to us all this time, because technically, if this is all true, which I believe in this guy has no, why is Larry Sinclair, he's been saying this, Pat, mind you, since the early 80s. He went in front of in Washington and he told everybody, he's broke. He doesn't give a damn. If they're lying about that, what else are you lying about? What about those emails that WikiLeaks, Julian Assange leaked with John Podesta and Hillary and all these guys, where Barack and them are talking about pizza, Pat? Let's deliver $65,000 worth of pizza at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then they call us conspiracy theorists. Just be out and open, because guess what? Congratulations. You'd be the first gay president. Do it. Come out. Say it. What?
Anyway.
What anyway? Oh, Adam, you're like, you don't believe any of it. I don't believe it.
I believe that everyone should have the ability to speak. Nobody should be canceled.
Yes.
Including wild concersy theorists.
Who's a conspiracy?
Okay, I'm not.
So all those things I listed are conspiracies?
I'm just saying everyone is entitled to what they, to their opinion.
Yeah.
I love that we have, conspiracy theorists on the show.
Who's a conspiracy theorist?
We've had Alex Jones. We've had
how much of his theories that you would say?
There was that one thing that he kind of screwed up on.
So he can't mess up ever.
No,
but a lot of them are right.
Some of them have been right.
The water
But
turns the frogs gay, Adam.
Obviously. But then there was that one thing, you
Okay,
know,
all right.
that cost him $1 billion.
Yeah,
but,
go
you
ahead.
know. But, all right, so it seems like you're taking the stance that Obama is definitely gay.
I would put all my money on that he's 100%.
So what are the chances? You just said 100%.
I would put all my money.
So
When
this
there's
is the-
smoke, Adam,
This
it's fine.
this is the problem that I have.
You said that really-
I wouldn't put 100, and I wouldn't put 0. Anytime that you're like, definitely 100%,
Yep.
there's no question.
Yeah.
I'll put every amount of money on it. Okay, let's just back up a second because we're talking about this guy, Larry Sinclair.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we all of a sudden now believe a gay crackhead, Obama blowing drug dealer, criminal.
He's not a dealer. He wasn't a dealer. Drug user. He used
My
it.
bad, Vinny.
It's all good. Dealing
Okay.
is whatever.
Who is a known Satanist.
Okay. What's
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Allegedly.
Go ahead.
Allegedly.
Conspiracies.
Who has a 27-year criminal history.
Not
He's been-
27. No.
He's been in. Oh, so now you're Larry Sinclair's lawyer, Vinny?
Did you watch the video last night? Did you watch the video? The whole hour?
No, I'm not going to spend an hour on Larry Sinclair. I was studying the economy. I was studying Trump.
But that's the problem, Adam. You didn't see any of it.
That's true.
You didn't hear anything.
You know what I did do? I did spend some time reviewing his rap sheet. So he spent time in jail in Colorado, South Carolina, Florida, Arizona. He did spend 16 years in jail. He's had 97 run-ins with the law. He's been arrested. Hold on, Vin.
16 years? No, he wasn't.
He's been arrested for forgery, fraud, disorderly conduct, and larceny. By the way, there's now rumors saying that he's terminally ill. So he's going out with a bang. He's got nothing to lose. So listen, if you want to go on, I'm saying this with all sincerity. Go there, all good.
Okay.
I'm just inclined not to believe this guy.
So here's my question, Adam.
Yeah.
If let's just say I saw something happen, okay, just because I've been to jail doesn't take away the fact. And I want you to explain something to me, Adam.
97 run-ins with the law that might smoke. You said there's smoke, there's fire, Vinny. It works both ways.
But here's the thing, Adam. How can that guy pass a lie detector test? I don't know if you've ever.
Well,
do you
I
even
actually
know
read
that?
about that, and allegedly,
can't
let's use the word allegedly.
Go ahead.
The polygraph test is what it's called. Came back as it indicated deception. So do some more research, find out what actually happened.
He passed and signed an affidavit, Adam.
Okay, I'm just saying.
So wait,
Listen, I don't have an agenda. I love you, brother. You clearly have an agenda.
No, I don't. But
That you
I
want to
wanna- I
convince
just
the
wanna
world
say-
that Obama is gay.
I just
If
want to
it's-
say,
There's no
Boy.
indication of that.
Okay,
take a cold plunge.
Well, can I take one thing? Don't forget your thing, Patrick. If you had $10,000 cash right now and somebody said you have to bet one way or the other, you can't take the money. Whatever you win, you win. Do you think Obama's gay or not?
I would love to hear Pat's answer. Go ahead.
If you hold on, because I love this smirk. Hold on.
Hey,
wait,
Rob, can you DoorDash some
By the way,
popcorn?
I'm asking everybody this question. Tom, be ready for this. Patrick, 10 grand. You are not leaving this room unless you make a decision, and if you win, you get to take the money and you go.
You know what you
10
just
grand.
remind me? You ever seen the movie Couples Retreat?
Yeah.
If a guy had a gun to your head, is this marriage going to work out or no? Tell me right now.
Yeah.
You don't put a gun to
If
your
are-
therapist head on the first time.
If you
are
had to
the
guess,
jackass.
if you
If
had to
you
guess,
had to guess.
if
I
you
once hit a
had-
guy in
I
Detroit.
already know his
bounced off the
answer,
hood of
but
my
go
car.
ahead.
Don't ever
Go
know what
ahead,
happened to
PBD.
him.
I don't know. I will give you ratio. I won't give you a bet like that. 10 grand is not going to do anything. But if I give you a percentage of these guys having this experience together, I don't know, 30%, I would say it
You're
happened.
even that high,
Yeah,
Pat?
30%.
30%, dude? Stop it.
But hear me out.
Yeah, go
Hear
ahead.
me out on why I'm saying 30% is not actually that high. What's confusing for me is the following. Why are people on the left so worried if he's gay?
That's what I'm asking.
Why are people on the left so like, what is wrong with being gay, leftists? Huh? Mr. Democrats?
Yeah, I thought
Aren't
it was
you guys LGBTQ? Aren't you guys like, what is wrong with being
thought
gay?
it was okay to
Well,
be
I'm
whatever.
sorry.
There's also
Shouldn't
gay
you be-
Republicans.
Shouldn't Democrats come out in support of saying, hell yeah, we got a gay president?
Congratulations.
Why are you all of a sudden anti-gay? Why are Democrats all of a sudden so concerned about the president being gay? Everything you're doing in California with all the schooling, all the indoctrination, you want more people to be gay. So guess what? You finally have a guy that's, stories are coming out saying that he may be. He may
Not
be
just a guy, you
bisexual.
have a
Yeah.
flag carrier.
Are you gay?
So and then, for the other part on, stories, this is the part that's just, this is why, BMW and Mercedes are, trying to compete with Tesla and all this stuff. The left doesn't want to hear this story. If this person, the lady came out saying, rape is not about physical, rape is about thought. And Anderson Cooper's like, we got to go to story. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
I saw that.
Let me get this straight. You will give that person, the psycho lady, you'll give that person airtime to interview them, but you're not going to be interviewing this guy. Yeah. Got it.
Good point.
You already lost a lot of credibility with me, so you're full of shit. What is the difference between those two people? That person's got credibility? This person's got credibility?
Yeah.
No, or you pick and choose your stories. You're not journalists. You are campaign managers for a person you like that's part of your political party. They lose credibility there. With this guy, I watched him. Here's what he looked like. I mean, I'm just going to give you what I watched the entire interview, by the way, just to kind of get a feel on whether I believe him or not. Like when I watched Karen McDougal, okay, and she said, I'm convinced we loved each other. I don't know if you've seen the interview with Karen McDougal.
One.
That
was
one
the
you watched.
supermodel Playboy girl who allegedly had sex. Allegedly.
By the way,
Trump.
what
Not
did
100%.
what did I say when Karen McDougal came up? What was my
believed
ratio?
her.
I believed her.
Yep.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I believe she loved him, and I actually believe she still loves him, okay? Because I'm going based on what I saw, and my percentage on that one is like 70%, okay, where I saw that. I'm saying on this one, 30%. I watched the guy, and, you know, when you're running an insurance company or a sales company with a bunch of sales guys, your job is to know which one of your salespeople are full of shit and which one's not. Yeah. No, I didn't sign that forgery. I would never do that. You're like, yeah, bro, I don't believe you. Okay, I don't believe you. And you take the paper and you put it on top and you're like, nah, this is definitely forgery, guys. I'm sorry, this guy's going to lose his license. You screwed up. You shouldn't have done that. Oh, my God, I was just afraid. I'll admit to it and I said, dude, I can't protect you now because now the Department of Insurance got involved and the insurance carriers got involved. They have you on freaking recording multiple times. What are you doing? Done, right? Our job as compliance is to watch. Now, it doesn't mean we get it 100%. That's why there's investigation, all this other stuff. I watched this guy. I mean, look, even if you're terminally ill, it's not this the first time he's coming out with the story. He
25 years ago.
25 years ago. It's not the first time he came out with the story.
In Washington.
Yeah, so he came out with the story years ago, and, you know, he's coming out with it again. It's not like it's last minute. So even to say he's terminally ill, that's more of a reason to say you want your legacy to be, there lies the man that gave a president a blowjob. Like, is that your legacy? So what is it going to say on your tombstone, right? Cracking blowjobs, right? That's your tombstone? Is that what you want your legacy to be?
Yeah.
Walking by, Mom, who is this? What is a blow? You know, you're going to have to kind of go through it. Yeah. So, no, I don't know. I think, you know, there's a part of it that's true. And to me, you know, I don't know a lot of presidents. I don't know a lot of men who, you know, accidentally call their wives a man's name 2-3 times. I don't know a lot of people that make mistakes like that. I just don't. You know, I've never called Jennifer Joe.
Ever.
I've never said, hey, you know, and Joe and I, you know, the other day, I've never done that.
Do you have
Who did Barack call?
Michael?
Michelle?
He's called Mike. He said.
Called his,
hold on.
He called his,
Michelle.
but
Many times. Many times he's called her Michael.
For me,
So you want him to be gay?
No, I don't, Adam. That's
for
not
me, all I'm saying is I'm staying skeptical. Yeah. I'm staying skeptical. And to be quite frankly, like, the most pathetic thing to me is that Democrats are embarrassed if he's gay.
Exactly.
That tells you how much of a hypocrite you are, that you're now defending against a person being gay, where to you it's normal to be gay. Why do you care so much? That's the problem I have. I don't have a problem with all the other details.
I have an issue here, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
And I'm just going to say something. I believe these stories just as much as I believe the stories about Donald Trump. Let me explain. So, by the way, I'm not an Obama guy. How often do you hear me defend Obama? I said I like Bill Clinton and I like Joe Manchin and
You voted for Obama, though.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That
You
I have to
supported
love
You're
him?
an Obama guy.
No, we're not going to play this game.
It's not a game.
You also voted for Obama.
I didn't vote for Obama.
Okay.
I never.
Let me stick up for my man Vinny, though. They call him a conspiracy theorist.
That's true.
I'm a
But the
coincidence
mainstream media, they went over P-tapes, mainstream. Stormy McDonald's, mainstream.
Thank you.
So I
So
think that's
my
your
point is this: I'm skeptical as hell when I hear, you know, Trump has a love affair with his daughter Ivanka. There's people like, oh, he probably bangs his daughter. I'm like, dude,
Yeah, that's too far.
this is not a thing.
Right.
Okay. Oh, he goes to these modeling competitions for girls who are under 18, and nah, I don't really think so. I do think that Trump has cheated on his wife umpteen times and has banged hot porn star chicks like Stormy Daniels and models like Karen McDougal. I actually think that's true. Okay. But the point is, not every story you hear is actually true.
That's your pushback?
No, what I'm saying is this. I don't think that Democrats are basically being like, how dare you? I
They
don't
are,
think.
though. No, they are.
No. I just
Yeah,
think
they
they're
are.
like, here's another ridiculous story
No, they are.
that they want to push. And the guy's married for the last 20
No,
years.
that's kind of like
Adam,
let me
to be
give
fair, Adam.
let me give the
All right,
opposite
we're-
side.
you read all
this stuff, Adam.
Let
They're losing their
me
mind.
give the complete opposite argument. Let me give the complete opposite argument. This is kind of like a word comes out that Ron DeSantis running for president. Rumor gets out the first woman he had sex with is his wife Casey. He lost his virginity to Casey after being married, and conservatives say there's no way that's true. The guy's a player. He's been around. He's a good-looking guy. He's a Navy SEAL. He's a stud. But wait a minute. Hey, many of these Christian guys, you want, your virginity and your Bible and all this other stuff. Why are you now saying no to this? What happened to your virtue signal on being Christians? That's how pathetic this argument they're making is, that they're embarrassed about something like this. Now, for me, my question isn't even this. Forget about the story. I don't wake up in the morning wondering if Barack Obama's gay or not. That's his wife's problem. It's not my problem. They need to figure that part out. My concern is more deeper than that. Your name is Tucker Carlson. Mm-hmm. You got 5,000 people that you can interview that's going to be interesting people to interview. What the hell are you doing interviewing this guy?
Thank you. That was my next point.
But
Go ahead.
actually go.
Yeah, why?
Go.
Why?
Why are you doing it?
That's a great-
Are you doing it because, let's go through all different angles. One, are you doing it because, I've always wanted to do this interview. Fox never let me do it. I'm putting it into, Fox's face. Okay, cool. That could be a possibility. Check. I believe it. Two, are you doing it because you are on the inside and you have friends across media company everywhere? A lot of people that maybe were editors, maybe were insiders, worked at Fox. Now they're at CNN. Now they're at MSNBC. And somebody saw a memo or a link or a story or a conference call or a meeting that leaked and the door wasn't fully closed that said, hey, Michelle Obama's running for office. Okay. What happened?
Nothing. I'm asking Rob to do a poll to see if our audience thinks Obama is gay.
I already did. I can tell you
Okay.
that we have over 2,000 votes. 77% of the audience believes that Barack Obama smoked crack and had gay sex. with
Bingo.
women.
Now I know who we're working with out there. Good to know, guys.
77%.
Yeah.
Go ahead, but Matt, finish your point.
So 77% chance. You're at 30%.
Can I
I'm
make,
at 2%.
Can I make my
I'm fucking
point?
fired up right now.
Yeah.
A ridiculous
So
audience. Love you guys.
It's
though.
your ridiculous party is what it is.
No.
Yes,
I'm a registered independent.
Yes.
No, we're not playing this fucking game.
Yes.
No, I'm a registered independent.
You've always voted for a Democrat president. You're a registered Democrat.
No.
You've always voted for a Democratic president.
I'm a registered
Have you
independent.
ever voted for a Republican president?
No, I have
Don't
not.
hide around the bush. You never have. You've always voted for left. So that's the party.
But I'm a registered independent.
But you can be
You think I was going to vote for fucking John McCain?
You can
think
be
I was going to vote for fucking
you can
Donald
be a
Trump at that
registered
time?
anything.
I'm an independent.
You're a Democrat. You voted Democrat your entire
So
life.
you're a
on the
Republican,
No, I
even though
voted
you're-
for Clinton.
Yeah.
I voted for
He
Clinton.
voted for the
I have
side.
voted for
So
Clinton.
that's your out.
Absolutely.
Okay, got it.
I have voted
Got it.
for left and right. You've
Got
not.
it.
So no, because the position you take.
Yes.
The position you take.
What's the position?
Your position is like, I'm not going to play this. I'm not going to play this. Your political party.
No.
Your political party that you voted for your entire life.
Yes.
Your political party.
Even though I'm a
that you
registered independent.
Your political party that you have voted for your entire life is embarrassed of this story of, God forbid, Barack Obama being gay. And they're the same ones that push about people, supporting LGBTQ. What's wrong with that? That is absolutely insanely embarrassing from one perspective, okay? When I'm giving, and I'm being reasonable to you, saying Karen McDougal for me was 70-80%. I'm at 30% with this guy. I'm not at 70-80%. I'm telling you I'm 30%.
He's at 100 though. Our audience is at 70%.
And that's
His
fine.
opinion.
I could have my
That's his-
opinion.
where are you at?
I'm at 2%.
Okay, great. That's where you are.
Okay.
But let me go
But
back.
I have the
Can you-
judgment to
the
say that
next
it's not
time-
zero.
The next time,
that's great.
if you want him to run a poll, text him. Say if you want to run a poll. I'm making a point while I'm saying with Tucker, you causing me to lose my train of thought. I'm in the middle of it here telling you right now. Number one is, why is he doing it? You got 5,000 people to choose from. They can interview. So are you doing it because you want to put it back into Fox? Number two, are you doing it because you're worried Michelle Obama's running for right now for office? So it's like, let me kind of put this out there. I don't know. Is it number three? Are you doing number three because Obama never gave you an interview and you're like, oh, okay, you don't want to give me an interview? No problem. Here's what I'm going to do to you. I don't give a shit if I ever interview you Here's my vengeance back at you. Great. Number 4, are you doing it because mainstream media covered everything on Russia collusion for 3.5 years, and smart guys like him believed it, and many other people believed that was actually happening until 3.5 years later, report comes out, oh, it never happened. It was actually funded by Hillary Clinton. Oh, move on. Let's go to a different story. And we have to all follow a lead and move to the next story. Yeah, maybe that's why you're doing it, because mainstream media was full of shit during COVID, and there's a couple people that lost a lot during COVID. One of them is mainstream media. They lost credibility. Never has the word fake news been used until COVID showed up, and Trump showed up, and Russia showed up, and then people realized, you know what, this fake news thing is real. Credibility of how much Americans believe the media is the lowest it's ever been. Not in the last 10 years, not in the last 20. It's ever been in the history of America, because they're full of shit and the American people are sick of it. And you're starting to notice people are going to get their news from a freaking podcast. We're not journalists. We didn't go to Columbia University and be fed the same bullshit that everybody else is being fed. We're sitting here like regular people saying, why the hell are you lying to us so much? Are we supposed to believe all of this stuff is true and you only investigate the people from one side and not the other side? Is that what we're supposed to sit here and believe? No. We also want to ask certain questions. I don't know why Tucker did this interview. This makes no sense to do this interview.
Can I ask you a question,
Yeah,
Pat?
of course.
Do you think this helps or hurts Tucker's credibility?
I don't think it helps. I don't think it helps. I'm a reasonable guy to tell you this. I don't like when Rob brought the story to me and he says, Pat, it's going to get a lot of eyeballs and we got to do this. I'm like, I don't know if I'm interested. Okay, I don't know if I'm interested. And you remember, Rob, I said something like that to you, if you remember this. I mean, you know, we're obviously throwing, your job is to give different stories,
Yes,
right?
and we've discussed similar things where it's personal lives that don't matter, like the Dylan Dennis thing. We discussed having him on, and you said, I'm not interested in doing that.
Another story I will say that only you and I know this, where guys like, hey, this is what really happened to my relation. Do you know which one I'm talking? I'm not going to say the name, but you know exactly what I'm like, I'm not interested, bro. I called the guy back. I'm like, I'm not even going to talk about it. Mm-hmm. That's not my interest, okay? That's your problem between you and your wife. You guys go figure it out. Now, if you are making it so crazy that we have to freaking touch it because you're putting it out there, then our mistake's on you. In a situation like this, I don't know if I'm interested in this story. Is it entertaining? Does it get eyeballs? I'm really curious why you would do it.
Can I speculate why?
You can speculate. Yeah,
Right,
you can
so,
speculate.
You hit the nail on the head, eyeballs. How much was Tucker Carlson's contract at Fox? A year.
40 million a year, was it?
No,
Whatever it
wasn't 40 a
was.
year.
No,
It's like 20 million?
20 million. Yeah.
How much is his contract at Twitter?
He's not making any income.
Bingo. So he's in the eyeball game before. Now, I mean, he's the number one, let's just say, talking head. I don't think that Tucker Carlson can be considered a journalist at this point. I would say he's a pundit, right? Because a pundit, their job is to give opinions. This is not a factual story. This is an opinion story. This is a guy who, at the very least, can we agree that this guy may have some credibility issues? No?
I'm not saying
a gay, crack-smoking felon?
You went to, I'm not in your camp. I'm not in your camp. What I'm saying is this. I think Tucker is an absolute investigative journalist. I think Tucker is doing the right thing interviewing this guy. I think others should have interviewed this guy 15 years ago during the election and talked to him about it after he did a lie detective test. All I'm trying to find out is why you're doing it today. This should have been interviewed a long time. I think this is a miss in the job of the people of mainstream media that never wanted to talk to this guy because they were afraid of losing, credibility and relationship with, Obama, the person they all feared that they wanted Obama to invite him to their birthday party and their annual celebration or their inauguration, all that other stuff. There's a lot of clout in being in those types of meetings to say, I got an invite from Obama. Obama was a Ronald Reagan figure for the left. He was admired and loved by a lot of people on the left, and most people fear losing something to a guy like this. So for me, I do think Tucker is an investigative journalist, much better than a lot of the guys on the left. I would give I would put a couple guys on the left that I respect that are doing investigative journalism, and I would put Tucker on that list as well. Mm-hmm. My question isn't to lose credibility for that. I don't know why he's doing it. Now, he may have a very valid reason for doing it, and by the way, it could also be a reason that's none of our business. He could also be doing it to say, who the hell are you for me to have to explain to why I'm doing it? I'm freaking doing it because I want to do it. And it's a private matter that I don't even want to tell the world about it, but I told myself I was going to do this when I was going to be free, and I'm doing it. Great. More power to you. But on paper, I still don't know the motive behind doing it now.
I think Pat, great point where I had no idea, but maybe it was maybe he heard something about Michelle wanting to make a run that's going to, put us back into crap. Because, obviously the left isn't doing a good job. But think about it. When was Barack first president term? When did he become?
08.
08?
January of 09.
Pat, if they knew the truth and Sinclair was out during that time and putting out these stories, that's not you think that's what, why they were covering up this, Pat? You can't have, he's going to be the first black president and then all of a sudden, oh my God, he's gay as well. That's something where Americans are ready for that. Americans they still want a family, father, wife, kids. It would have been way too much to put out a story like, hey, listen, he's the first black president. Oh, and by the way, he's gay. And just so happens that he's doing crack in the back of a freaking limo with somebody. Adam, I get where you're coming from. And my point is, I genuinely don't care. But when the story's out in your face, he's writing letters to his college girlfriend. This is before this whole situation that he got married, saying, I imagine banging dudes in my head all the time, all day. This is written, Barack Obama. They have it at the college, Occidental College. It's a fact, okay? These are facts. Everything that I said about Joan Rivers and Tafari and all this and all the letters and Barack and the guy saying he blew. I'm sorry, the truth, if he is, I'm sorry. It hurts. If it hurts people that he's gay, oh well, congratulations. I think good for him.
Well, we need a blue dress, other's they'll never admit it. We need some blue boxers or
Monica
something.
Lewinsky.
Yeah.
I just.
we went a whole damn hour without bringing me into the show.
All right, Bill, take it easy.
Because Bill denied it until the.
But Pat, you make a great point. You just woke me up while you were saying it. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. What is the motive? One of mine was like, did he run out of guests? Because think about it. Sometimes
No.
Okay. So that's one. Let's say option.
Tucker, when you get whoever you are, there's certain people when you get an email from them, you respond to that interview. Okay, there's certain people. Tucker's on that top 5 list of people that when you get that email, you have to pay attention that's coming from you. Which means what? Tucker gets to interview, I would say, 95% of people in the world, if he wanted to talk to them, they have to entertain it. And he's got plenty of options to interview outside of this guy. I just don't know why he did it.
Can I add one more thing here, just for our conspiracy friends out there?
Coincidence.
We've talked about alliances being made with, obviously, Tucker and Elon on Twitter, whatever the Trump thing is. Do you know what Elon had to say about your friend, Mr. Sinclair? This is Elon Musk, who might have a little bit more knowledge in this general subject than any of us.
Okay.
Here's what he said. Mr. Sinclair is not super convincing, picks or. And that's my ultimate point. Anyone can just run with any ridiculous story, spout it out on any ridiculous podcast, and just go with it.
Pictures from the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were cameras back then. I don't know if you know that. But if Elon is saying this, I think that's fair to say that this probably lacks credibility.
Well,
because he wants to see Tucker win.
Well, 77% of the people that watch one of the dopest podcasts out, business or whatever, I don't think that 77%, Adam, are just crazy conspiracy kooks. They feel it. I could look at it like I could look at Barack and be like, yeah, I could see it.
There's a part of,
so they feel it.
There's a
They
part.
know it.
There's a
I
part
think
of
they're
me.
wrong.
There's a part of me as well that likes Elon saying this. There's also part of me that says he has to say this because he's not got a CEO of the company that's like, Elon, what are we doing with this? You want me to get advertisers as a former NBC person, Linda Yacario? You want me to get all this stuff and we're putting something like this and you're retweeting it? You have to comment that you're not fully in it. There's a lot of ways to look at this angle on, Linda could have told him, I'm about to sign a $500 million advertising deal with, 20 different companies. What are we doing here, Elon? Yeah. You're not making my job easy. I'm trying to hit my bonus. Those kinds of conversations
Pat,
could take place as well.
I just want to know is since Tucker's no longer with Fox, he's basically doing whatever he wants. Do you think he's like the white Tupac?
Is he the white Tupac?
Way less gangster.
I think he's absolutely gangster, and I think he's pissed on a lot of people off. And I think, how hard it is right now to be Jon Stewart. Can you go to the clip of Jon Stewart where he played the you know which one I'm talking about, Rob? I don't know if you found it or not. Just put Jon Stewart on Tucker. Jon Stewart, and then put Tucker. Stewart, Tucker, yeah. It just came out yesterday, I want to say, with Jon Stewart saying what he said. Go a little, no, not that one. Go a little lower. He just recently said something about Tucker. Can you go a little faster? Go a little faster to see if it's out there. Oh, no. Okay. No problem. But Tucker called him evil. I'm sorry. Jon Stewart called Tucker evil.
Evil.
He says he's evil. He knows what he's doing, et cetera, et cetera. And in a situation like that's the one right there. If you can play that one, yeah, go for it. Just make it bigger and audio. Go for it.
But to your point, though, about like a guy like Tucker Carlson, like that's cynical. What he does is cynical.
Starts with cynical.
Right.
And he hides the true motivation for it. And that's what I mean by the difference between well-intentioned, honest brokering and cynical manipulation.
Yeah, I definitely put him on the evil side. I wasn't going to speak for you, but
no.
For me, I put him in the...
No question.
I feel like he knows exactly what he's doing and saying.
No question.
I don't feel like he's ignorant about his messaging and his coding.
No, it's all purposeful, and it's marshaling very, very malevolent forces.
Yes.
No question.
But marshaling very malevolent forces. Like let's just say using the DOJ against your opponent, like malevolent forces.
Yeah.
Like using the entire mainstream media to attack an opponent and make the entire country believe Russia collusion was real. And here's what's crazy. I'm a fan of this guy.
Yeah.
I like Jon Stewart, okay? And I also happen to like Tucker. I like both of these guys. And I love the fact that 20 years ago, John went on Tucker's show trying to bully him. And he leaves. This is when Tucker had a bow tie. It's right below it, Rob, if you can see it. And when he had a bow tie on right there, and he's like, this is just awful, right? This show right there on rapid fire, and he's going through it. We don't have to play the whole thing. I love the fact that Tucker got his redemption because Jon Stewart today is at a lower level than Bill Maher. I think Bill Maher is kicking Jon Stewart's ass, and people actually from both the left and the right like hearing Bill Maher. And quite frankly, I don't know who wants to hear from Jon Stewart on the right, except for a few people. Jon sounds more like somebody that's just defending his political party to be invited to the parties, and Bill Maher is saying, F all of you.
Yep.
Okay? I think all of you are full of shit. You know, just the other day, Bill Maher talked shit about Trump on Rogan.
Yeah. Oh, the whole.
And then he goes and talks shit about Biden about you. I'm sitting there saying, good for you, Bill.
Yep.
Good for you. I want to kind of hear what you got to say. But anyways, we're going to
That's
see.
why I think Bill Maher has more credibility than any of those names you just mentioned because he's willing to call out, ready for it, both sides. If you just want to play your, I'm on this side, so this is who I'm defending, or I'm on this side, this is who I'm defending, I don't think that's a true, honest broker.
But that Tucker story was the biggest comeback story in media.
Oh, huge.
It canceled his show. Jon Stewart, everyone mocked him, and then 20 years later.
Great story. Good for him. Coming out, and then boom, he's runs the #1 show for God knows how many years. Okay, so that's that part. Next story we can go to is Elon Musk's dad says he's worried the Tesla CEO might be assassinated following a report about his influence on government decisions. Okay, so let's take a look at this here. And this is an insider story. Yes, responds Errol Musk when asked if he fears a potential assassination of his son, Elon Musk, by the shadow government stemming from a New Yorker article which he labels a hit job. As per the Sun interview, the New Yorker article portrays Elon Musk as an unelected official, prompting Pentagon officials to express unease over his attitude towards Vladimir Putin and acknowledging SpaceX's Starlink satellite's critical role in Ukrainian conflict. Elon Musk's personal security concerns are evident as he shares how his son's car faced a crazy stalker situation and his actions such as requesting an office bathroom and restricting journalists who shared an account tracking his private jet, reflecting his complex relationship with safety measures. So, Tom, what are your thoughts on this relationship between Elon and his dad and what his dad is saying about Elon's safety?
He and his dad are strained. I think everybody's read various comments about it. He's a terrible human being. Those are pretty heavy words between a father and son. And I think right now he's out there saying, I'm worried this guy might be assassinated. And I also think what's going on is we've had some very light news cycles. And so you pull this up and his dad makes some comment like that. And I think, do I think there's a real risk there? Perhaps. Do I think his dad's worried about it because he sees his son really being a lightning rod here? Absolutely. I think his dad believes, hey man, you're touching government, you're touching, very heavy figures, and you're demanding, this and that. I'm a little worried that maybe somebody might be upset enough about this to pop him.
Are you following the ADL story with Musk or no?
Lightly, I understand.
Can you pull up that story with Forbes, the Anti-Defamation League?
Oh, my ad revenue has been manipulated because ADL's been out there pulling threads,
and
pulling strings.
Tom, let's not forget, though, at the end of the day, Pat, Elon Musk spent how much money to buy X, Twitter?
40 billion.
$40 billion to be like the free speech king. Because at the
I think it was
end,
42. Remember the leather
at the end of the day, Pat, because of him, and this wasn't, by the way, obviously the FBI, why everybody was involved in embedded inside of Twitter, especially during the election. He's given us the opportunity now on Twitter that we can see and hear everything. Okay, we see it, we can fact check it, and we do what we just did, and we debate, and everybody can have their opinion, but it's all out there. The truth, though, the fact that we can find out the truth for ourselves makes him an enemy of the elite. He is giving us the platform to do exactly what the hell we did, Pat. And from watching the people on the ground in Maui talk about what's really happening, I'm saying to listening to Larry Sinclair, credible or not, whatever you want to say, to the January 6th Twitter files where it was the January 6th guided tour. It wasn't insurrection. All the shit that they lied to us about. We get to see it. And Pat, I'm telling you right now, if there was a list of accidental, let's get this guy, Elon would be on top of that list right now because he's giving us the opportunity to see all the fake shit about COVID, to see all the shit and like, just let's put it on the table. Let us look at it and figure it out. Before then, Pat, would you have ever have known all the shit about Twitter or Hunter Biden or the none of that, Tom, because the White House, the FBI were going to Twitter and they were putting agents there to say, don't put this story out, do this, do that, do that. So I will 100% think that he's on that list.
No, the modern government does not want an open platform.
So Musk blames Anti-Defamation League for X's poor ad sales, threatens lawsuit. Go a little lower. Elon Musk says U.S. ad revenue for X, formerly known as Twitter, was down 60% in a series of tweets Monday and blamed it on critical statements from the Anti-Defamation League, going so far as to threaten a lawsuit against the group. Go lower. Musk said the advertisers have told the company they're receiving pressure from ADL, a Jewish non-governmental organization that seeks to fight anti-Semitism and extremism around the world, to not advertise on X. He went to say, if this continues, we will have no choice but to file a defamation suit against, ironically, the Anti-Defamation League. This comes after ADL released multiple reports saying anti-Semitic posts have spiked on X since Musk's purchased the platform, unblocked a number of users who had previously been kicked off the site for violating hate speech, and loosened the platform's content moderation policy. I mean, you can't blame the guy for being upset about it.
This is canceling by any other word. If you can't get them to be quiet, you try to cancel them. And if the ADL doesn't like what certain people are saying, whether those people are truly extremist and truly saying things, against Jewish people, which I hate to see, but there's a hyper reaction here, and they can't control X. So they want to influence others who can cause control through cancellation and boycotts.
Yeah, I don't believe in any sort of cancellation, even though I'm Jewish. I believe in free speech. I'm a free speech absolutist to an extent. I actually believe you should shine a light on the people that are saying racist, anti-Semitic, bigoted comments. Let's see who they are. I want to see a picture of their face. I actually want to know where they live. Let's see where they work. Highlight the hell out of these guys.
Let's
don't cancel
dox
them.
says Adam.
Let's see what's going on. Let's dox the hell out of these guys. So, yeah, I totally understand why someone like Elon would want to push back against the ADL. A lot of people do. But this is literally their job, is to go after people they feel like are defaming minorities or certain types of people. But back to the Elon thing. Him and his father have had a very strained relationship over the years. So I actually don't know how much communication they even have. So you said it's maybe a light news week, so they're just looking for anything to kind of drum up. But pure speculation, and I'm sure Elon's got it covered. Actually, the most famous text that Elon and his father had, this was a year ago, was when he texted his dad, just keep quiet. The press is playing you like a fiddle. Don't say anything anymore. Keep quiet. So he's basically saying, Dad, pump the brakes, guy.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem like his father listened to his advice.
Let's go to this next story. The Immortals meet the billionaires forking out for eternal life. And this is a Guardian story. So let's see what Guardian has to say about this. Tech entrepreneur Brian Johnson, who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on youthful plasma transfusions, shares his experience. I've never paid more attention to what he's eating because that was going into I've never paid more attention to what I'm eating because that was going into my body. He continues to invest $2 million annually in longevity research. Professor Michael and Irina Conboy discussed their groundbreaking research in which they stitched together the bodies of old and young mice. To rejuvenate the older mice's blood, they anticipate significant advancement in prolonging life treatments such as pills and a fountain of middle age. In the next 5 years, the podcast explores the involvement of billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Peter Thiel in longevity research and raises moral concerns about the potential exclusion of certain groups. Interesting. Vinny.
So, well, first of all, listen. I don't care what anybody says. You're not going to cheat death. We all have something in common. Male, female, tall, straight, gay. We all have an expiration date. This guy, though, Pat, he's 45 years old. He sold his company, Big Tech, $800 million. He recruited his 17-year-old son and his 70-year-old dad to join him in a tri-generational blood exchange, all right? Oh, wow. In April, they visited Resurgence Wellness. It's a futuristic medical spa in Arlington, Texas. The son got a liter of his blood removed, about fifth of the blood of his body, and separated into parts before the plasma was reinfused into his father, all right? Now, Brian, the guy in question, then donated a liter of his blood products to his 70-year-old father, and nobody gave blood back to the son. So the son is shit out of luck. So the son's basically Tom Hardy in Mad Max when he's the blood bank. He's just sitting there and they got the blood
bank.
Yeah, blood bank. So he has 30 nutritionists, MRI specialists. He gives blood, stool samples of all of his all day. They're monitoring this guy. He even does penis. You might want to look into this, guys. Just pay attention. Penis rejuvenation. So he's erect for 3.5 hours a night.
Jesus.
He does.
Only.
Tom, I know he beat your record. He does. Tom, he does shockwave therapy 3 times a week in the hopes of gaining teenage-like erections. He even monitors and keeps track. Like he has a journal. He's like, oh, I got a hard on, and he writes it. But it's like, Pat, at this point, you're trying to cheat death. It's like live your life the way you are. Unless, Adam, you feel me, bro? Like in the future, take care of yourself for right now, but 30 people around the clock working to make you young. Listen, I think it's safe to say if you're drawing blood out of your son and taking some of your dad's platelets, shoving it in you, giving some back to your dad, it's going overboard. You got to chill out.
Would you happen to have his phone number handy?
Is Bill back in the studio? But yeah, Tom, but what do you think? Yeah, I think once it's your time, bro, it's like...
Yeah, we have to go away so the next generation has a chance. You can't just be here forever, but stitching your body to somebody else is just a little too...
Tom, would you want to live forever? I think we've talked about this. Would you want to live forever?
You know, I've seen really, really elderly relatives go quietly, and I had a 93-year-old grandmother, my mom's dad, is the grandparent I was closest to. And when it was time for him to go, he was not ready to tap out, but he was so peaceful. And as he had aged, he had things that were catching up with him. He didn't have cancer, didn't go through some long thing, but he was 93 years old, and the body was really worn out. He worked as a machinist, so he had, arthritis in his wrists and his hands and everything. And he's like, you know what? I've seen a lot of family grow up. I've seen a lot of things, and I'm ready for the step to the white tunnel and go meet God. And I look at it like that, and I'm like, I say, do I want to be as healthy as I can be and as productive as I can as long as possible? Yes. I don't know if I have any desire to live 200 years, but I want to be as healthy as I can be.
What would be an ideal age? Like if God's listening right now watching this podcast, he's probably not watching today's podcast because he's pissed, but if he's watching today's podcast, what age would you want to live to?
I think I know my body and I know my status, and I think I'm good for 105.
Oh, nice.
105, Tom.
Dog.
What do you know me?
So you've got 20 more years.
You know my mom.
No, I actually agree.
Well,
I actually agree.
I think
105.
I think 100 is a great number to aspire to be.
Yeah, but I don't want to look like a White Walker from Game of Thrones. Like I've seen some people where it's like, bro, you should have been gone.
Two hands.
Vinny,
you're gonna be all right. You don't have to worry about your looks, bro. You're a good-looking guy.
But I'm in pain, but Pat, my back.
Bro, we got the freaking water plunge. You're gonna get in it every day at 89 years old.
Would you want to live forever?
Hell no.
Do you think that would sap your motivation to get anything done?
No way.
Probably.
I can't even imagine the pains of life. No way.
Adam, you?
No way.
I want to go to 100. I tell my mom, my grandma's 92. I said, I need you to 100, Grandma. I need you to take care of yourself. My mom is 70. I want her taking care of herself.
way.
I think you got this one life. I think you need to make the most of it. And what I will say about this.
100 will be cool.
this billionaire, whatever he is.
Yeah, Brian Johnson.
I would much rather biohack life, health is wealth, and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on this, and then get your third Rolls Royce or your second house somewhere. It's like, at this point, that's probably the best investment you can make rather than some material item.
And by the way, you have to know at that point, that's exactly what they're doing. They don't get, once you have money, like no one gives a shit what you drive when you have money.
Correct.
When you actually have real money, and I'm not talking like, I'm talking. These guys are billionaires.
It's called fuck you, money.
Like think of, when you're pulling up to a guy that's got a massive house, you're not like, so what do you drive in this $40 million home? They're like, I don't give a shit if you pull up in an Avalon. You know?
I have this one friend.
I haven't driven in 5 years.
I have this one friend that's worth a ton of money. He's gone on the record basically saying that 150 million ain't what it used to be. But this guy is biohacking life and doing ice baths for fun. And he's fired up allegedly.
Dude,
you can't say 100%.
What a freaking now. Do you want to see the first reaction when I got into water? Because I don't want to give it to Rob. It's going to take us a minute to do it. But man, this experience today was insane when I did this. I can't wait to go back and do it again tonight. It's so weird. It's like a new toy I got.
I'd rather you get that than another car or another watch.
You think I want to the reason why I love what I drive right now is because I can sit in it. We went to lunch yesterday.
Amazing.
Vinny's in the car. He's in the car. I'm in the car. I'm comfortable. The other stuff that the red car I have, that I can't fit in. It's not going to work out. So I'm with you. So okay. All right. Cool. So let's go to. Which one do we want to go to next?
What about the Proud Boys?
You want to go to Proud Boys?
Yeah,
let's go to Proud Boys. Enrique Tarrio, former Proud Boys leader, sentenced to 22 years in prison. A Wall Street Journal story.
Oh.
Wall Street Journal story. Let's go through this here. Former Proud Boys leader Enrique is on a 22-year sentence, the longest in over 1,000 cases related to January 6, 2021 Capitol assault, after being convicted of seditious conspiracy, a charge related to efforts to use force to overthrow the government, impede its law, or seize its property. Prosecutors initially sought a 33-year sentence for Tarrio, but cited his leadership role and the Proud Boys' involvement in the attack when recommending to punishment. While the U.S. District Court Judge Timothy Kelly expressed discomfort likening the events to terrorism, Tarrio, who did not enter the Capitol himself, apologized for his role in instigating the events, while his defense team argued for a 15-year sentence, saying, "My client is no terrorist. My client is misguided patriot." Wait, he never went in. He's getting 20.
That's the key. He never even went inside there. So it's getting further and further from the supposed insurrectionists, the rioters, the terrorists. He wasn't in there. He's not a white supremacist. Joe Biden's quick to call Proud Boys a white supremacy group. His name is Enrique Tarrio. He's an Afro-Hispanic gentleman, and he's going to lose his whole 40s. He's going to be in prison from 39 to 51 if he gets out early.
What do you think the sentence should be?
Well, let's look at this. Does he have a prior record? Has he done anything wrong in the past? Because, the whole thing with Biden is we got to give people second, third, and fourth chance if it's someone on the left. But if it's someone on the right, give him life. He wasn't even there.
So it's 22 years. I think he should get 2 years, should he get 5 years, should he get 10 years, should he walk off for free?
Not walk off.
What should it be?
First of all, I did, because I'm going to be honest, I didn't dive in and find out all, because the guy was at his house. I don't know. He planned and orchestrated. My question is, do you guys remember that group, Pat? You guys might have remembered Antifa during the entire Trump presidency, during the George Floyd riots. These people who were
peaceful protesters,
funded by George Soros, Pat, they caused absolute mayhem in this country. They caused violence. They killed people. They burned down cities. They did all this shit. And guess what? When they got arrested, guess who bailed them out? Hollywood elites, Kamala Harris. Everybody's like, hey, we got to help these people.
Get them out.
Get out. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, and they helped them out.
So however soon they got out, that's how quickly Enrique.
Yeah, exactly. And guess what? On this January 6th, this insurrection, quotation marks, that nobody died.
Nobody brought their guns.
Nobody
you have to go to Liberty
guns.
Safe to get their gun.
Exactly. But here's my thing. I think, Adam, a fair thing would be, if he did really, really incite violence, like the Ray Epps, the guy, the FBI that were like, everybody go in. Those people should be in prison. That he takes all those guys and pardons them all.
So answer the question then. How long should he go to jail for? This isn't a trick question, guys. How long should he go to jail for?
I don't know the specifics of what evidence do they have.
3 months plus probation.
Okay, because let me just you read the article. It's in front of your face.
Yeah.
They were trying. Number one, I don't really give a shit about this guy. We actually had the opportunity to bring him on the podcast. We said no.
The Proud Boy guy?
2021. Pat's credit. He's like, nah.
Yeah.
You know, we don't go down that far right rabbit hole, Proud Boy thing. But I will say this: the prosecutors sought a 33-year sentence. But what did his defense want? What did his defense ask for?
A bargaining chip.
For how much? How many years?
15 years.
15 years. So his defense attorney said, at the very least, give him 15 years. They settled, they split the difference at 22 years. So I'm just looking at what his defense is basically saying. Basically, his defense is basically saying, you're going to jail, buddy.
Yeah,
and it's going to happen for a while. So this whole thing.
By the way, good point, okay, that even his defense is saying 15 years, not saying nothing. But also good point on you. If he's got to go, Epps has got to go.
Epps should.
If they both go in the same cell for 15 years, now you're going to say fair.
Exactly.
But Epps gets off. Why? He's saying get into Capitol, get into Capitol, and there's videos. Epps has got to be inmate.
I agree.
Roommates with this guy.
Well,
then we can sit there and say you're being reasonable.
I will
here.
say this guy Ray Epps should be charged with something, but what he is not should not be charged with is this seditious conspiracy. But this is my speculation. I haven't read into this all that much, but I know what a seditious conspiracy is. He didn't even go in the Capitol. It's kind of like he was the party promoter. He promoted the party.
Yeah, it's called.
He sent out flyers. He advertised the hell out of it. But he just didn't go to the party.
Adam, that's called inciting a riot. That's called inciting an insurrection. He's telling all these he's pushing the gates and pushing them to go in. He deserves to. If that
I'm not talking about Epps. I'm talking about why Enrique Tarrio is going to jail. He was the big party promoter of the and I'm not even on your I'm on your page.
Yeah.
I don't think it was an insurrection.
I love you
think
for
it was
that.
a rebellion.
Yeah.
I think it was a shit show. I'm not on the insurrection label. I get that people are calling it.
You think Ray Epps?
I don't think these Proud Boys were actually going to take over the government.
I agree.
I actually think a lot of them actually do love America.
Yeah.
That's
Have
the
you
one
guys
thing.
met any of the Proud Boys? Have you ever had a interaction with them? I did a comedy show in North Hollywood, California. Guys with a bunch of polo shirts after the show. Hey, you're funny. I go, what's going on with the polos? Like, oh, you don't know? We're the Proud Boys. I go, what do you guys do?
Yeah.
Well, Antifa has been beating up old ladies and Christians walking to the Trump rallies. So we're showing up now and we're kind of giving them the business if they mess with us. I said, that sounds almost noble, like kind of like a counterforce. And they said, you want to join? I said, no, thanks. And by the way, most of these...
We're going to go burn some crosses after this. Come hang out, buddy.
I wouldn't be here. I'd be with Tarrio. But they were all, by the way, black guys. So not even a white.
Wait. So they're white supremacist black guys? That doesn't make sense,
I met 4 or 5
Kayvon.
black guys. I know. It didn't make sense.
Rob, what were you about to say something?
To corroborate what Kayvon said, my mom was not on the Capitol,
Proud
but
Boy?
she was in.
Oh, shit.
She was in Washington D.C.
Shocker alert, Rob.
Yes.
that
She
beard.
wasn't on the Capitol, but the Proud Boys were providing security to the older ladies. My mom's in her 70s. They were guiding her around the city.
It's like
to protect
badass
them.
Boy Scouts. And when a little guy jumps out of the bushes with tight black pants and throws an egg, they would just go put him in the hospital.
Yeah, there's groups called the Guardian Angels with red shirts that go back like in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
With all this. And, I look at it this way. I'm not in the courtroom here, but if he gets 22 years, then the 3 people that organized the Kavanaugh riot and protest, don't they get 2?
Something?
You know, you remember this? The
Yes.
Justice Kavanaugh riot? They did the same thing. Broke through the doors, came inside,
Banging
pushed the
on the
cops
doors.
around, and then I'm looking at it and saying, what is the difference here? Why don't those people get 2 years for inciting a riot and breaking through the doors and trying to make this protest, and then these guys get 22 years? Yeah, I just I'm still troubled by the selective prosecution here.
Well, I will say this, that one of the things you have to love about America is your ability to protest or even riot in that regard.
164 people arrested during the protest for crowding, obstructing, or incommoding. They broke doors. They came in there. They had Tell me what the difference is. Tell me what the difference is when these guys broke through the Kavanaugh.
They came rushing.
Tell me what the difference is.
You know why? Because they're registered Democrat. That's why. And they're fine.
I'm saying, okay,
They
if
can do
you
whatever
get
the hell they
22
want.
years, why don't these guys, the 3 organizers...
I don't even remember this, but are you saying that this is comparable to
They
January
stopped
6th?
the hearing. They stopped the hearing of
No, they came in,
Supreme
though.
Court justice.
I want to see what he's talking about. This is comparable to January 6th, this?
In a way.
Once it breaks free here, I'm saying...
I want to see it.
I'm saying, if this guy gets 22, why do these people not get 2?
It's a fair question.
Okay.
It's a fair question on what Tom is saying. So let's do one last story and then we'll wrap up. The U.S. government is investing $22 million into developing surveillance clothing that includes shirts, pants, and underwear that can record video and audio. The U.S. government has invested $20 million smart electricity powered and networked textile systems called Smart ePants program, aiming to create wearable clothing capable of recording audio, video, and geolocation data. The program's goal is to produce washable garments, including shirts, pants, socks, and underwear with advanced surveillance capabilities. The Office of the Director of Intelligence states that Smart ePants represents significant investment in developing active smart textiles. Dr. Dawson Cagle, the program manager for Smart ePants, highlighted the potential benefits for government agencies like the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, and the intelligence community. He notes that wearable technology could enhance situational awareness by allowing users to keep their hands free in high-stress environments.
Did you say Dr. Cagle?
Dr. Cagle.
That's hilarious. Is that how you turn it on? You do it quick.
Yo, but can you imagine that? Like, yeah, like, but Pat, that's gonna be the future. Hey, Pat, I have to tell you a secret. Like, I can't. My underwear are listening. It's like, well, think about it. They're trying to make Pat. This is Brandon made this a good point on my show yesterday, the Vincent Oshana show, Wednesdays.
Shout out to Brandon.
Pat, yeah, shout out to Brandon. They're making surveillance cool. They're making it stylish, just like with Facebook. Do you remember during the Obama, they were like, it's our privacy, and everybody's fighting. We don't want them to know shit about, I don't know where, I don't want you to follow me, or all of a sudden Facebook comes out, and you're willingly telling them where you eat, who you hang out with, what your style is, what concerts you watch. Like the CIA must worship Mark Zuckerberg because they made it
What
cool.
a difference a decade makes. Huh?
Exactly, Tom. Now it's cool.
This
now
is
it's
my
cool.
privacy. I can't believe you're doing this. And then it's like, okay.
Now it's like you're not on Facebook.
Number one, let's go, Brandon. Congrats to you, buddy.
Good job, Brandon.
Number two, where was this technology when Larry Sinclair was smoking crack with Obama? No photos. I'm sorry.
Not at all.
Sorry, my
As Obama was
Full
gulping
circle.
down Larry
Yeah.
Call
Sinclair.
back Adam for the
God
win.
Well, never
forbid
mind
if
that,
he had
but-
those pants technology.
I'll say, let's go, Kayvon. Really great to have you here.
Thank you, man.
Kayvon,
It's what an
congratulations,
honor,
bro.
man.
You got to have 2 more volts, though. 'Cause
Yes,
we're not
please.
playing games.
Okay.
Kayvon,
mainline.
congratulations on being on the podcast, and congratulations on being the newest member of the Proud Boys. That's great to
Yeah,
join it back in
congratulations.
California.
Yeah.
Logo right
Nice,
Gang, hope you have a great weekend. We are about to announce 4 of our next lives.
Wow.
You get to pick and choose which one you want to go. It's going to be a lot of different kind of lives. Text the word podcast to 310-340-1132. Text the word podcast to 310-340-1132 to be one of the first to buy the tickets. So you're here with us live at our Cigar Lounge and Comedy Club. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
That was good.
Come on, Ben. Let's go.